Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phoenix Gaming. I'm your host, Nick Henning, and we are here today to talk about the ring finals of the 2023 World Series of Board Gaming Gaia Project game. Now, this game is a staggering 5.5 hours long, and I've only got so many hours in my day, and you've only got so many hours in your day. So what we've done here is we've cut out the first 32 minutes of this game because that's the amount of time that they took to set this game up. I didn't watch it, I'll tell you right now. I skimmed it at the very best. I know that they did a tile rotation setup. Cliff did that as he's in the fourth seat here. Blake in seat 1, Ricky seat 2, Bryant seat 3. And there was a veto. I don't know who vetoed it. And then Cliff respun, essentially set up the board again, and then faction selection. And we've got two mines already placed out on the board. So that's kind of where we're going to start from at the beginning of this video. The other thing is from my Cascadia video, if you watched it, I had that sped up 20% because of how long it is. I have this game sped up 40%. So we're going to make some liberal use of pausing if we need to in various instances, but we got to keep this puppy moving because this is going to be a long game, and I do want to make sure that I eat dinner tonight. So let's talk about a couple things in setup before I hit play and let things run here. Oh, the other thing I want to mention is that my head's going to be moving around a fair amount during this video. This video was sort of surprise recorded, so there's no other commentator in this video. I'm not blocking any commentators, and Gaia takes up a lot of space. So as you can see, I'm kind of blocking a part of the board. I'm probably going to spend most of my time on the left side of the screen because the round tracker is something that I don't think you need to pay that much attention to after kind of knowing what it is that we're looking at for the round. But let's start by talking about the setup over there. In rounds 1 and 5, if I'm reading the board correctly, and it's a little bit hard to read, they are getting rewarded for playing on green planets. So Gaia forming factions are going to be a little bit rewarded in this game. Although in the first round, the Gaia forming factions don't get anything. So actually they're going to need to, that'll benefit folks who kind of rush out early that have those QICs to grab those green planets along the way. Second round is going to be a digging round, or a terraforming round as it's called in this game. I don't think that really benefits anybody all that much. It's just kind of a normal little round. The third round is asking folks to build big buildings. So I expect to see probably some big buildings from a couple factions in that round, as well as in the last round. The last round is a little bit sketchier because the big buildings don't tend to reward quite as much. So we'll see if that even comes up. The fourth round is federating. So we're going to see a lot of federations in the fourth round. By the time that people get there, they certainly have the time to set up. Usually the earliest that people can federate, with the exception of something like the Ivets over here, they're not going to be able to federate much earlier than the third round. And so a lot of times people will just kind of delay until the fourth round, grab a federation then, but that's going to create a little bit of a choke point, a little bit of pressure on those advanced techs if people want those bonus 5 points. So I think that's the most interesting part of that board setup over there. In terms of the rewards, we've got essentially the number of buildings, but they must be in a federation, which I think is just a funky distinction over just number of buildings. And then green planets. So again, a little bit of an extra bump for those Gaia forming factions there. In terms of our round bonuses, we've got a handful of things that are interesting. We've got the flinger that lets you go 3 additional spaces, and the one that gives you the QIC and $2. I think those are 2 of the best starting game ones, which I'm sure Cliff and Bryant will pretty much grab out of pocket there. We've got the one that what I call the ETAR round bonus, which gives 2 purple diskies, 2 power chargers, and a worker. That one's not going to be that exciting in this game because we don't have satellites bonus. So I think that tile is not going to be claimed a whole lot. We've got the just knowledge and worker, or knowledge and ore, I guess as it's called. And then in terms of past tiles that score points, it looks like we've got, if I'm reading them correctly, mines and research stations and the big buildings. So fair amount of points that can be grabbed from those past tiles there. But we're going to go ahead and cover up over there. And then we're going to talk about the research track before we dive into the actual board state and board setup and how folks are going along here. So on the research track, a couple things that I noticed that are really interesting. For the advanced tech tiles, on top of the terraforming track is the terraforming end of round payoff tracker. That's a really interesting one. And it's important to note that at the top of the terraforming track, the the Federation reward there is the one that gives 2 ore, which is probably the best Federation that exists in the game. I think it's the one that kind of gets claimed most often. So terraforming track is pretty juicy. Top of the navigation track is for research. Navigation research tends to not be a very common combo, so I think that's going to be one of the less powerful options. On top of the QIC track and the research track is that one-time payoff for having trading posts or whatever they're called in this game and mines respectively. So someone, I think that the mine one, especially on top of the research track, is pretty appealing. So that one is going to be one that someone gets. And then the QIC one, that's also a good late game one, and people tend to go up the QIC track in the late game, so expect to see that later. And then on top of the Gaia forming track, looks like it's the pay you off for how many federations you have. So a lot of endgame scoring on those advanced tech tiles. And then the 5th column, we've got economy, and that's going to bump people for upgrading things to their trading posts, which can be a really powerful one to kind of end up rushing early. So a lot of really powerful point scoring advanced technologies here. The only one that doesn't kind of make me very excited or very curious to see how it's going to play out is that 2nd column, because I just don't find that navigation and research tend to go hand in hand all that well. That being said, let's go ahead and start the video here, and we'll start talking about faction setup, faction selection, and the board state. So I was told by the players that this was a good best god setup, which I am not as good at Gaia as any of the rest of these players, but that blows my mind. I don't think best gods are all that good of a faction overall, and my understanding is that the best god setup is something that is all essentially 2 spaces away from each other. Now, on the right side of the board there, where we do see that Blake has placed his first best god mine, which he took in first seat, by the way. He really, really wanted to play best gods here. Does have a really nice setup, right? It connects to a couple green planets there and his own black planet just north of it. So he's got a really nice navigation start here for best gods. But other than that, I think he's going to have to be using QICs to fling or get up to navigation level 3 to connect between these guys, which I think is going to require a little bit more work on his part. Ricky's just kind of chilling as he claimed Ivets in 2nd seat. Ivets a very powerful faction, and they have a little bit more centralized locations and planets here, so not too surprised to see that as an early grab. Bryant in seat 3 grabbed Taclons here, a couple kind of central locations in the middle of the board for Taclons, although admittedly also some outer planets, like really on the far side of the board, so sort of a mixed bag for their starting locations, but certainly spots for him to go ahead and charge at the beginning, which is going to be really powerful. And then Cliff in 4th seat here said, well, none of you look very like Gaia form heavy, like if it's can Gaia form, but I will go ahead and just take the point scoring Terrans and acknowledge the fact that the track is going to reward some Gaia forming along the way. The top of the Gaia forming track also has a really nice perk up there, so I can take advantage of that. I think the Etars were not taken because their planets, if you notice, the white planets are just like on the fringes of the board. Really powerful faction, powerful Gaia forming faction, but frankly, with them not having good starting locations, they could be in really big trouble here. And the players have essentially already placed out their buildings. They seem to do so quite quickly for the most part. Ricky's thinking about his planetary institute, but Blake grabbed that sweet spot on the right over there. Unfortunately, it doesn't connect him to anyone, so he's going to be able to navigate outwards, but he's not going to be able to kind of upgrade stuff over there. So he sort of was forced to place his 2nd mine somewhere that touches someone else, and the person that it touches is the Taclons, which they're very happy about because the Taclons right there are in between blue and black, which is going to get them some sweet, sweet charge. They're actually in the center of the charge circle right at the beginning. Their 2nd mine kind of up near the very, very middle of the board is sort of an indication of just a very awkward start. I actually kind of wonder if going all the way to the north, kind of where Cliff had placed his other blue mine, might have made more sense, because then he's adjacent to a yellow for a quick early dig, which you can generally do with the brainstone with these guys. I wonder why he didn't do that. I bet it might have something to do with where he thought Ricky might put his planetary institute, and trying to make sure that he didn't sort of get in his way. I don't think red's really far from brown. Yeah, red's 3 digs away from brown. So I don't think he's worried about the Planetary Institute snatching his thing away. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, Bryant can just really use a QIC to grab that other brown planet that's up by blue, but I think that's a free charge for Cliff. Maybe he also did it to force Cliff to upgrade his building in the south, where Bryant is going to be upgrading his building to maximize his charge. I think that could be a reason that he's doing that, essentially acknowledging that he'll get more charge in round 1 by forcing Cliff to upgrade in the south. That's my guess as to why that might have been the choice. We do indeed see that Ricky's going to place his Planetary Institute there, which is actually, I think, pretty nice for Bryant. It's not a great spot for the Ivets because they don't have awesome spaces to expand to. Yellow is 2 digs away. Yeah, yellow's 2 digs away for red. So he's going to have to be doing some double digs there. And this might be indicating a Gaia forming Ivets because there's that kind of like wall. There's like double Gaia spots on the right there. He could have chosen the spot maybe over to the side there. It's a little farther away from things, but he could build directly onto that orange right there with an early dig and then start upgrading next to Cliff. I imagine that was a consideration. He could have also placed all the way on the right side and then built onto that blue planet, knowing that Blake is almost certainly going to go navigation and grab the blacks there. So I think that's certainly a possibility. All right, so we're in the start of the game. We grabbed the Flinger. We grabbed the QIC one as expected. The Ivets grabbed the Power Charge and the 4 points for big buildings. And the Best Gods just grabbed some workers and research. I think pretty straightforward choices for the most part. Mostly the economy, charge like tokens to start off with, and we're seeing the Ivets are going to go ahead and charge the game to begin here. Everyone's going to get their starting resources, starting income is what it looks like they're doing right now. Just from setup, I'm liking the Taclon's position, like being kind of centralized to everyone means they're gonna get that charge that they are so thirsty for. Interestingly enough, actually, I think maybe the player should rush charging the Taclon so that everybody is charging the Power Stone. Like if everybody's building up around them at the same time and they don't get to kind of like trickle charge, that could be a way that the players can mitigate the benefits that the Taclons have of that. But it does sort of depend on where the energy is at and what that charge looks like. I think the best guy, yeah, there we go. Good call, Blake. I think the Best Gods are probably going to open with an upgrade to the Trading Post. I think it's very likely that their opening here is essentially going to be Trading Post, mine, go up on navigation with a combination of their research and their Best God power, take that navigation and then just spread out at the beginning. That's a pretty standard like research and a bunch of mines set up to start off with. I really like that this is like a Keystone Cops moving around situation here. And then the Ivets right there, they're not going to mess around. They got that extra charge, so they're going to go ahead and just claim the 2 workers, which is essentially the main reason I think why you take that charge 4 power thing at the beginning is it allows him to charge those workers there. Bryant's going to sacrifice one of his charge tokens. I think they're called charge tokens. Is going to sacrifice one of his purplies, one of his charge tokens in order to throw the brainstone down there and then just immediately convert that brainstone into, I think he converted it into a worker and he just has his money in a 12 and 3 situation. Oh, no, that's 2 from the beginning. Oh, there we go. Okay. Because he had 2 extra from the beginning. Yeah, he converted it into a worker, and then he built himself an upgraded trading post as well. I wonder if I guess they're going to probably wait for Blake to hit the restroom and then come back. But Blake for sure is going to spend a victory point to charge there. There he comes running back like Keystone Cops. Yep, give it to me. Thank you very much. And we're on to Cliff. Cliff, I think, also is just going to start building upwards. There's not a whole lot else. Well, he can do his little fling. I think he's going to use his fling to get onto that blue planet on the west there, because he's got a lot of targets for his Gaia forming. But it does just make sense for him to upgrade his trading post there first, even though it charges the Taclons, because he wants to get the charge when they upgrade to whatever it is that they're going to do. Now, ideally, what would happen here is that, let's see. I guess Blake could also charge now, but he actually really wants to advance on navigation using the Best God's power first. So he actually doesn't really have the opportunity to build his research station just yet, as he needs to use the Best God's power. He's the worst at navigation, or he's the worst at everything. If you're not totally aware, because they're a bizarre faction, Best Gods upgrade one of the researches every turn that they are the worst at. Okay, looks like we got some QIC action here. That could be a central play. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's nice for Cliff to get a little bit of charge. I mean, a bummer for him that he's not going to get that green there. But Ricky's just kind of expanding outwards, and it makes sense that he's going to grab that spot that'll benefit him with a little bit of charge. I think he could have done that actually on round one, not been... I guess he was worried that the Taclons could have stolen the 2 worker charge from him. So he misses out on a charge from Cliff upgrading, but he makes sure that Bryant, as the Taclons, didn't, sacrifice both two tokens for the charge to move a charge over and a brainstone, and then use the 4 charge to take 2 ore. That being said, it's maybe very important for Ricky to have as the Ivets to have the 2 ore for the first turn buildup that they look for, because they're usually a little bit ore strapped, given that they don't start with any mines. But I think that would have actually been a bad play for Bryant, because Bryant wants to upgrade as fast as possible, which he did. And by taking the action with the 2 workers, he would have delayed upgrading that central location, missing out on some potentially essential charge for him. Oh, interesting. So he's going to go ahead and hop over to that yellow spot. We're going to do a quick pause here. So that yellow spot is interesting. So he used the QIC and the Brainstone to do a dig action. And there's a lot of spaces that he could dig with a QIC throw. He can dig black or yellows, and going over that way suggests that Bryant is maybe looking at getting to navigation and nabbing those greens on the side there, but there's no way he's going to beat Blake to it. So Blake's going to get there. So by going there, I guess all he's really doing is guaranteeing that Blake is going to charge him as well. Okay, that's the answer. He is setting up a spot for himself to get more charge from Blake's Best Gods over there in the east. I don't know that I love that play, but he's going to build somewhere. He's got to use a QIC and probably a dig to do it. So I guess might as well do that now. I don't know. I'm a little greedy with resources. I bet charge is very, very good for the Taclons. It's an interesting call. Cliff's going to go ahead and use 2 QIC here, which I guess he must have... Did he use power for it? Why did he have 2? Missed how he got a second one. I'm going to assume that it's from power, because he threw himself down to grab one of those green spots and slow the Best Gods down a little bit, get a little bit of the charge here. And here we have Blake doing that upgrade, and he is taking the worker and the QIC. This is not as exciting in terms of like long-term production, but is sort of really emphasizing the fact that he is going on a mine rush right here, because he's got 4 mines that he could drop. He's going to drop 1 in the green planet in the south. He's going to drop 1 north of himself. He's going to probably use a QIC to go even over farther to the east and grab that spot and the green spot over there. He could use a QIC to jump all the way to the south below that red planet, kind of in the middle. And that's actually maybe 5 planets. So it's maybe too many. So he's just making it so that he can essentially drop as many mines as possible on this first turn, score himself a bunch of points. And he's not doing the like construction plan of I'll get resources from my research stations or anything like that. He's just going to do it straight up from his buildings, which I think makes a lot of sense. Best gods like to spread out. They want to claim as many of their black planets as possible because they're generally worth more when they build their upgraded planetary institute. Ricky just upgraded here. He's going to be going for a research station next. Looks like Bryant also goes ahead and does the research station thing here. He grabs the power charger, which makes a lot of sense. That's an extremely good one for the Taclons to start off with. Moves him up on the navigation track. Now, navigation is not so exciting for the Taclons. There's not a ton of spaces that he can get to with 2 spots. So I think that is more or less about because of the power of the tile. But I imagine there's a couple other columns that would have been a little bit more exciting for that to be in for him, given the board state. Now, that being said, he can use that QIC to throw himself to a couple of interesting places. And so I think that is going to happen along the way here. Looks like Cliff spent some charge here to grab research. I like that play for Terrans. I am a terrible Terrans player, and what I found is that when I play Terrans, I need to get additional research. Otherwise, I just don't move up any research tracks. And you have to move up navigation. You have to move up the Gaia forming track, usually at some point in time. So it can be a slow process there. Blake just grabs the mine over on the green area just before anyone else gets cheeky about it, giving Cliff a little bit more charge. Cliff gets even more charge as Ricky upgrades to a research station here. Ricky's also going to take the power charge one. Let me pause actually for an instance because that's an interesting shit. It's a very good tile. 4 charge here doesn't do anything explicit for him though. Even if Cliff charges him 2 more by upgrading his trading post into a planetary institute, it's not quite enough charge for Ricky to do anything very exciting this turn. And sailing as the Ivets is not exciting. I mean, it's okay. Sometimes you have to do it. Maybe he's just saying that that's a thing that he, wants to be doing this game or plans to be doing this game. But I would be really tempted to take like a worker and a power research tile and move up the economy track. Because if it's tend to build upwards, and so if he rushes up the economy track and grabs that like trading posts are worth 3 points one, I think that could be a pretty good game plan for him. No way Bryant just passed, so he did something. What did he do? No additional power actions were taken. Okay, thank you, Cliff. I appreciate the clarity. Yeah, a charge here makes sense for Bryant because there's not much else he could do in terms of actions right now that are super exciting. So might as well charge over the power. He gets the worker for bumping the brainstone back to the bottom so that the brainstone can continue to cycle through as other people give him power. He doesn't want to sit with the brainstone there in the top slot, even though it lets you take the nicer power actions because he's waiting for that to happen. This is a pretty nice Terran start here for Cliff. He's gotten a lot of charge at the beginning, and getting 2 research and 7 coins are things that can be problems for Terrans. In fact, when Terrans upgrade to their planetary institute, just piles of resources are good. So in a lot of ways, you could actually argue that the 7 coins are better than the 2 ore for them, because for power conversion, it's the same. And so when they're building their Gaia projects and getting their Planetary Institute bonus, in a lot of ways, they'd actually rather take the coins early, and then he can just use the Planetary Institute bonus to give himself some additional workers. So I'm definitely liking the start for the Terrans here. Best Gods continuing to do their navigation plan. If it's here, definitely don't have enough workers to do a planetary or a research academy. They're a long way off from doing that. But that might be the plan in turn 2. Here we've got some charge, and then the interesting question will be like, what do they do for research? They have, I think, 1 QIC sitting there. I guess a second QIC could be used to throw a mine over in the northwest and grab that green planet there. That would certainly be a respectable use of it. But the only way to get another QIC is to move up the QIC track, which isn't the most ideal choice right now. Actually, yeah, not the most ideal choice right now. Could just research up the economy or the research track just for that additional income stuff at the beginning. He doesn't need the additional 2 workers that you get off of the terraforming track. Taclons here, how much do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4 workers. A really nice Taclon's first turn is when they get up to 6 or 6 ore, because then they can also do the academy on top of their research station. And I actually wonder if the play for Bryant might have been to move up terraforming to get those 2 to do the Planetary Institute thing that I'm suggesting. Maybe he's planning on eating his 2 QIC to do that instead, but I don't think he's going to use those QIC to get mines, because he's already got 2 mines, and going to a 3rd mine is pretty awkward. And I don't think he's got 4 mines that he can reach. Wow. Fascinating. If it's going up to navigation 2. Cliff hates seeing that. I guess he is kind of his color neighbor and like where they might be going. But yeah, what's the idea with 2 here? I guess, I see. Okay. He can build a satellite off of his green spot in the middle and then hop up to that red, the alternate one that I suggested he could start at. And build out a little system there. Okay. And then what happens? I guess he has options in that he could either go to the left if he gets Gaia forming, or right if he wants to do digging. So he's got a little bit of versatility there. I tend to play a much like slower ground gamey type of Ivets with a economy engine. So I've not really seen that many people do this Ivets thing, and it's not, I like value too much. It's a play that I don't like doing. Looks like Brian's doing the thing that I was just suggesting about eating his 2 QICs. It's an expensive use of 2 QICs, but the building the academy is just so good that it's well worth the additional kind of income here, I think. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he moves up another space on the economy track right now. You know, basically take the worker and the power charge, move up the economy track, given that he moved up the economy track before, because, you know, that it just means that he's getting piles and piles of workers that way. I don't think there's any other track that appeals to him too much right now. Navigation, like level 2, is often exciting for people. And I guess I could see him going to navigation 2 with the plan of taking the dig next turn so that he can kind of sandwich the Planetary Institute of the Ivets. But there's not a ton of other spots he can reach with dig 2 that are, you know, brown spots or 1 dig spots away. And the Ivets have a ton of charge if they end up just double digging that yellow spot there. which would make sense for them because it would connect them, across the board. Then navigation for Bryant would just end up be like a totally dead perk. Okay, so we see him grabbing the one that I said and then going up the economy track. Bryant's going full economy, maximizing his opportunity to charge, making lots and lots of resources, and he'll figure out the victory points later. That's how I play Taclons too. Cliff here is going to go up, sure, on navigation, because then next turn he'll be at 3 research, and maybe if he can get himself a 4th research by, like, I don't know, taking Blake's pass tile or something like that, although I think that's not likely, he can get himself up to having a 2 navigation, which is helpful for him. There isn't really many other places that I think the Terrans tend to go early. Getting a second, there's also just a spot for a mine out there if he can get that second navigation level, right down in the south next to the Taclon Academy. Whew, I'm out of breath. All right, we're going to see this satellite that's going to connect, I think, probably northward from that research station. Northward makes sense because it then is the easiest time to head back west, and then it's 2 spaces away from the red up there. And I think he's got the resources to straight up build a oh yeah. Oh god, you can see how much I don't do navigation with Ivit. So they're going to spread out everywhere. By placing in the spot that he placed, he can still place it at the city site or the mine site that I'd suggested just north of there. But now he's actually opening up the option for him to spend 3 charge next turn, dig that blue location, and grab that red mine over to the east there. That's really interesting. Yeah, it's not how I play Ivit, so we're gonna see how this goes for him. This might explain why Gaia was a game that I had a skill ceiling at. All right, Cliff's been slow rolling that Planetary Institute. Here we go. Get your charge, gentlemen. I think he's been doing that slowly, specifically to make it so that they kind of have to wait until later in the round to get their charge. They have to have spent their resources on doing other things, so there's not as many options. And why not drop his Gaia Former, do the other things that he's going to do in the meanwhile. There's no reason to rush it for him because none of them were going to be upgrading. I think he missed the opportunity for the Taclon upgrade there. It's pretty rare that you see Taclons passing first in that kind of round. Thank you, Judge. Which one did he grab? I think he maybe grabbed the research station and the 1 research bonus. He did that because he's got 0 research. He's making 3 research income, so it's a 4th research income, which will let him go up on a track. And, maybe he'll also score 3 points if he builds another research lab. Not entirely clear whether he does that. Blake continues doing the mine thing. And then he passes and grabs the QIC one that Bryant just put down, so that works out nicely for him. So at the end of round 1, we've got the Taclons with an academy and 2 mines, and we've got the Best Gods with a research station and 4 mines. I think are both different kinds of pretty standard openings. I'm liking the Taclons opening more, personally, because money makes the world go round. They have like a lot of choices from this point forward about what it is that they're going to do. But the Best God situation is looking up because where they built outwards to on the east is now going to be touching Ivits, who are going to be building there, who I didn't expect to be building there. So that's a little bit more charge and a little bit more opportunity to upgrade into trading posts for Blake that I was not anticipating earlier in the game. I think we're at a pass for Cliff here. I think he's out of resources. He's got a pretty straightforward Terran start here. He got a lot of charge, so he's got a lot of money in the bank and some extra research in the bank, which is really, really nice. But you'll notice that they're all in the bank. The rest of it is just fundamental start where he's basically, placing. He's got 2 mines and a planetary institute, right? Like that's a very, very straightforward start. And looks like he grabbed the one that Blake put down, which we mentioned earlier, because that's going to give him his 4th research as well. So lots of people getting their 4th research here is going to make for a lot of happy boys. I think Ricky's probably done here too. And, normally I'd be pretty excited as the Ivets to get the flinger, the space chucker. But because he's already sailing for 2, it's not that great anymore. Like he basically already can do the flinging thing because he's got the move 2 and the drop a satellite. So I don't know that he'll actually take that. I don't know. I don't remember what his other, well, why am I covering them? What his other oopsie daisy. Other pastile options are. Yeah, points for mines. I mean, I guess he could kind of go on a mine rush and start scoring some points right off the bat. I think that would be respectable at the very least. He's going to build. I guess actually the first question is if he's going to get the dig. Everybody's got a lot of charge just sitting around. Because Taclon's got some charge at the end of the round there. Best Gods basically didn't do a power action, and just the power that they acquired throughout the round, they just kept. It means that his odds of actually getting one of those dig actions is, I think, quite low. So yeah, maybe the flinger. Might as well. Oh, is he going to waste some power charge, though, if he does that? He gets a power and then charges 4? No, just barely, he'll be fine. But it does open up the opportunity for other people to build next to him and charge him nothing. Because he's going to be at max, I think. Yeah. Building-wise, pretty fundamental, I think, start also for Ivets. Having a mine and a research station on top of the Planetary Institute is good, but I think common-ish. You tend to at least get the research lab in one way or another, but whether you have the worker or the ore to do that and the additional mine can be a challenge. The navigation part of the Ivets is something that's gonna be that's a total wrench. That's really interesting. I think the Terrans had a very straightforward start. The Taclons also had a straightforward start. So it's black and red that are setting the tempo of weirdness in this game, whereas I think the Terrans and Taclons are playing exactly what you'd expect those factions to be doing at this stage. Best Gods have the advantage of not having to worry about money as much as most other factions do because their research stations give them money because they've got the kind of reverse thing. They're bad at getting actual research points themselves. They just kind of have to do their little robot advance thing. So that's something that they need to pay attention to in comparison to other people. Ivets are going to be facing this ore problem because they didn't take any economy or research tiles that help them with that. So if they don't get one of the dig tiles, they're going to happily take the 2 ore action, which might go away first anyway. The only person who really can't take an action right off the bat is Cliff. Because I don't think he's going to sacrifice his charge tokens to take one. Although maybe he'd sacrifice 1 for a dig. He does have a QIC. Did he pick up a QIC from the Terran power at the beginning of the turn? One, two, three, four. No, I think he took 2 workers. Where's that QIC from? Oh, it's from the navigation track. It's from last turn when he went up the navigation track. Okay. And the Tacklons went first, and they actually took the money because I wasn't paying attention to their resources. They were very, very short on cash. Actually, we finished round 1. I'm going to take a quick break. This is a marathon, not a... Of course I locked this, so I can't even... All right, see you in a moment. All right, we had a quick snack. We're back at it. Round 2. I imagine that a power action... Interesting. So I think he's actually communicating here that he doesn't care which of the power actions he gets or is not concerned about the power actions he gets. So by upgrading over there, he's giving Cliff some options for actions to take and also saying, hey, like, I would be happy to take charge if you're going to upgrade that building down there. Really interesting. Why is he not concerned about what he's doing? What's Blake trying to accomplish this round? He's just building up a little bit, I think. I think he'll probably be building a research lab. But I can't imagine not taking a power action first is not bad for him. Like, I think he actually wanted that 2 research that Cliff took. And Cliff actually sacrificed a power charge for it. I wonder if Blake thought that Cliff was going to take the dig, although Cliff would have to use QIC to do it. It's not really a great spot for Cliff to dig to, so I could see why that's not important for him. And then Ricky snapped up the 2 workers happily. So back to Blake now, and in terms of power actions left, you're basically forced into digging, which is okay this round. So I think he could single dig the white planet next to his black planet there. It's going to give charge to other players, but the 3 charge for the Terrans is not that interesting for them right now because having charge stuck in slots 1 and 2 for the Terrans sucks because they tend to want to throw that charge into the Gaia forming. So that would be a little tough for him. But he doesn't need to rush it, I guess, because, well, no, the other players definitely have charge available to them. It's unlikely that Bryant's going to use his because he wants to keep the if he keeps all of his power in slot 3, then the Brainstone just goes whipping around the track, which is great for him. But I think there's an extremely good chance that Ricky's going to take the single dig here. So Blake goes up on research, which helps solve some of the research problems that the best gods seem to have. But yeah, I'm not entirely clear why he's not in a rush to use his power. Cliff went so fast I didn't even see it. Oh, he researched up navigation. Sure, that's kind of what we anticipated he was going to do. And you can see how much Cliff respects the fact that Terrans need research because they don't really have other ways of getting it when they start with Planetary Institute. Ricky here charging. Why does no one want to dig? Am I just wrong about this? You get a couple extra points. Ricky, I think, wants to dig that blue planet on the right there. Bryant does too, but paying the 3 charge for him is it's just worse for Tacklons. Like, ideally, they get their charge in different ways. They want to use the Brainstone for those power actions, so leaving the rest of his power up there is preferable to him. Looks like we're doing an upgrade there, pretty much in the one spot that he can. Also is going to get more charge from his opponents as they're building up things around it. I actually think Blake would have had the opportunity when he did that trading post upgrade from earlier that he should have upgraded the trading post that touches that one, because I think the 1 power would have just put Bryant's Brainstone into slot 2 with no other charge to kick it over. And so he could have actually kind of stranded stranded his charge there in a pretty painful way, which I think would have been pretty viable. And then now Blake would be getting an additional charge. I mean, it costs a point, but it's well worth it at this stage of the game. That's 2 for 2 coins. So he's going for the research lab. That's what he needs. He needs to... This is why he didn't do any of the dig stuff, because he really, really wanted to build a research lab this turn. He's going for that production because he just wants to continue establishing his thing. And then I think might go up on economy. Or no, sorry, not economy. The one that he already went up on research. Yeah, exactly. That's often with the best gods, right? Because they can only move the thing from the bottom, they'll use their research labs to push up the tracks that they've already advanced on, kind of doubling down, giving them some options. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, and I guess it probably really hurt Blake that Bryant took coins to start off with. I guess that's what he maybe had his eyes on over there. Looks like Cliff used a QIC to throw himself over onto the blue planet on the left there. He's worried about Ricky snatching it out from underneath him. Also gives him access to a lot of Gaia forming spots in the north up there. A lot of touch points. And Ricky doesn't like my suggestion. He's just gonna use his satellite to get where he needs to go. I personally think that digging the blue, then the red, and then I guess he doesn't have a QIC, but he could. Nope, he can't research it. But he could get it in the future. Doesn't he get a... Oh, he does have QIC. He has 2 QICs. They're just very shiny. Yeah, I'm not sure entirely what he's thinking. I would have just done the mine thing that way. I mean, he's pretty low on coins, and so I guess he can't build quite as many mines as I'm suggesting. It still feels like the... Because ultimately, like, I guess you can spend QICs to connect your network, but ultimately I like to use my satellites to connect my network. And the satellite that he just placed is not terribly efficient in connecting his network, because if he digs both the red and the blue that are next to it, that satellite hasn't connected him. In fact, I actually think that satellite's placement is even wrong right now. I think if he placed it one spot to the left, it would connect his 2 satellites together. He could still hop over to the red. He could still jump up to the green, which no one else is really contending with him for right now. And it prevents him from having to use a QIC or another satellite action later to connect those. Unless I'm missing something. I just think that it limits his long-term plans. It doesn't take anything away from what he's doing right now, except for allowing him to jump to the green spot this turn. The Gaia planet. We keep moving around. There's a lot of shifting going to happen in this game. All right. Bryant's got a fair amount of resources. He's got 4 ore. So 3 of it's probably going to go towards building a research station. And what he's doing right now is he did a research for economy, just pushing straight up that economy track. To get the 3 power charge that you get for crossing the middle there. And he then charged for a coin by putting one of those slot 3s to slot 2, charged 3 power, leaving one of them in slot 2, and then used his brainstone to get another ore. Kind of a clean little loop that I think is a great way of using 3 power charge for the Taclons. Also now prevents him from this issue of where if he had gotten 1 power, he'd have had his brainstone stranded in slot 2. There's something there to kind of kick it over. Granted, I don't think there's any way he's getting 1 power at this stage. I guess it's possible that the Ivets will go for a double dig. Looks like the best gods are passing for the turn here. What are their options? Oh, you come back here. Okay. What are their options? Points for big buildings, points for mines, and charge tokens. I don't think they're going to take the charge tokens. I think points for mines is very likely the case. They don't need to build their big buildings just yet, although round 3 does reward you for building big buildings. So he could build up to an academy on top of the research station that he's built. That would be pretty reasonable. It's a little awkward, though, to take 4 charge being the first person passing, because if people end up charging you a whole bunch between now and then, it could be sort of a bummer as you end up wasting charge. And case in point, we've got Cliff here who goes ahead and upgrades right next to these gentlemen. He doesn't really have any other option in terms of like where he's going to be upgrading, so that makes sense if he's going to be going up, and he should be, because he's going to have excess mines, so he's just trying to maximize his resources by going upwards there. I guess no matter what, he's going to end this round with 3 mines, which is a little awkward for him. He could have not upgraded and stayed at 4 mines, but there's nothing else that he could then do with his resources later. If he finds a way to get some more workers, he might try to like grab that technology gives 3 points for every green before he has to place his building. I could see that. Ricky placing the mine that we talked about. That was kind of a foregone conclusion. Doing that at this stage tells me that Ricky is no longer concerned about racing with other people. He can kind of do things at his own leisure. I'm not loving the Ivets start here. I mean, it's clear that I just don't know it as well, so it might just be straight up fear of the unknown, but they have like what I feel like are kind of the many of the normal Ivet buildings to start off with, but they're spread out with none of the sort of like background research economy. And I feel as like the game plan is going to require so much stringing it together at the end, which I don't love. Taclon's here again, sitting on just an absolute pile of resources. They are going to be doing a research lab at some point. They only have the 1 mine. They don't have a QIC, so getting a QIC would let them get another mine, or essentially getting to navigation 2 and taking that single dig would also do the work for them. Here we see them grabbing that research. I could see them. They could do both. They could grab the one-time bonus and then also go up on navigation. But instead, he's just going to push that economy track, get all the way to the top there, maximize out that economy structure. That's fine. That makes sense. And then he has the QIC that he needs to build another mine. Just fling up onto the brown north of the Ivets Planetary Institute there. Seems fine. Here's that research we were talking about. I think he's going to take the one that scores 3 points for the Terrans. Oh, no. Oh, I see why. Because he actually doesn't have the ore to build the mine that he needs to build. So he actually needs to get that first if he's going to build on the Gaia form of this turn, which he like needs to. I think, and he's out of money too. I don't know what he's going to turn into money. Oh, he's got lots and lots of charge. I see. Interesting. So then my guess is he goes for Academy next turn to take the point scorer. I think the point scorer one is just very valuable. I mean, skipping it now is fine because he's just skipping out on 3 points in favor of getting those resources right now, which he might have already counted into next turn and said, look, I'm going to need more workers. and or QIC, which are like workers in the long run. So this has to happen. I could see that. I think that was a charge for Ivets. Oh, no. They grabbed the green planet. Finally, we get our brainstone. Here we go. He flings himself over to that yellow there. That's a choice that's definitely just, I want to be somewhere where I want to be where the charging is. I want to take what the Terrans are building. Then Ivets are just doing goofy charging stuff. Cliff's like, come on, man. You're done. There's nothing to be done. Snatches the card. All right. Let's see it. Hey, cutie. A new cat. Me. I think 2 coins. Yeah. I wonder what he was debating there. Maybe there's something else that he was doing with his power. He's got 6 there. Did he only do 1 charge? Maybe he only needed 1 coin and I just looked at the situation wrong. It's Blake pointing out where Ricky could fling to because he hasn't used the flinger yet. It's so far away. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I mean, if he had a QIC, yeah, sure, he could get there. I don't know if it's worth it, but he could. Same with the one all the way out in the west. That's the one that makes more sense. But without the flinger, he could have gotten there with the dig that I'd suggested from this turn and just building the satellite out that way. That would have been just fine too. Bryant's going to probably power kick out of slot 2 there. For the brainstone. Sacrificing that charge. What's he got? He's got 2... He's got his 2 mines. He's got 1, 2, 3 workers. I mean, he technically has enough resources to build another mine and then upgrade one of his mines into a trading post. Did you pay? Yeah, okay. It's got exactly enough left to build a mine, but I don't think there's anywhere where he can build the mine because he didn't take the navigation and he doesn't have a QIC left, I think. Trading worker production for 3 money production is essentially just a resource swap, right? The game thinks those things are equivalent in value in terms of how you're using your charge. That being said, keeping his production in balance is valuable because he's, I think, making quite a bit more worker production ratio-wise than gold production. So it makes sense to handicap. I keep calling workers instead of ore. Makes sense to handicap that ore production. Just a little bit to do that, I think. Cliff, I guess, is deciding where to Gaia form. think it's a lot of charge for other people, but ultimately he's going to want to build in the spot that's like the top of those two purples. The question is whether he wants to do it for next turn or save it for later. Two coins, is that what it is? That was a worker. Oh, it's 3 that you put on there. Here's another 3. This is going to allow him to build the mine that's just wide open in the south there. Okay. So building 2 additional mines was a plan. That's why he grabbed the ore and the QIC. It looks like he ate one of the QICs too. And then he's choosing now to go ahead and Gaia form rather than build his mine right now because A, it doesn't charge the Taclon player, and B, he has the opportunity to get a little piddly charge himself if someone else takes an action that gets charged. So like if he got 2 charge and had all 7 power sitting in cycle 1, slot 1 there, that actually is annoying because he doesn't want to charge the 6th of his power charge tokens. He just wants that 1 charge to go twice. I don't know where there's anywhere to like there he would get 2 charge, but it's just a good habit, I think, to do what he did, right? Kind of convert your power and then immediately go ahead and build out your Gaia form here. And then Ricky's going to pass and grab the big building tile, which is a really nice one for him because he's almost certainly building another academy next turn. It's going to be 5 points for the academy and then 8 points for the pass tile. So that's a 13-point plan turn there with, he's got lots and lots of power tokens because he's playing the Ivit. So he'll be able to make use of that charge there. All right, and sounds like Taclons are passing as well, which makes sense. They don't have anywhere to build that mine that we were talking about. They do get the 3 points for their research station. And Flinger or the QIC are very, very similar. Just depends on where he wants to go. The Flinger could get him all the way to the south, that one kind of sitting out brown guy there. It's going to be a little awkward in the long run because he's going to need to connect it. It might not be worth it. And we know he likes the coins, but he gets the charge. So I think the Flinger is the right call because it's 3 charge rather than 1 charge, which allows him to boot the Brainstone over if he doesn't get anything. Oh no, he's also got the economy track, so he's just making tons more charge. Maybe excess. That's why he's changed his mind, I think. They're pretty similar. Yeah. Oh, he's probably going to that spot up top left. Oh, clever. I see. Cliff used... Okay. Yeah, see, this is why Cliff is better at this game than I am. So instead of building out the 2 mines, which gives him just the one ore boost because the 3rd mine is sort of a dud mine, he actually spent his resources to build the trading post instead because it gets rid of that dud production. And he's not too worried, it seems, about anyone grabbing that blue planet from him. I mean, Ricky certainly could get cute if he wanted to like have a vector down the middle there to connect that blue and then to his red, but It's a really far distance for him. Doesn't really help. I think if red was more of a like terraforming structure, then that little cycle over there might be more powerful for him. But because he's kind of sailing and has already kind of indicated that he's going eastward, it doesn't seem as important. It's funny. The game is both too slow at 40% faster, and I'm having a hard time keeping up. It's all of the things. Charge. Everyone's going to get their resources. So if it's certainly have one of the more awkward economies right now. If it's in Best Gods, both have like the dud mine space, right? By having 4 mines, they only are making 3, or I guess making 4 ore, whereas the other players don't have the dead mine space and are making those resources. Bryant's making a lot of resources because he's charged it all the way up the economy track. And that's pretty normal for Taclons. They're really, really good at getting lots of resources. Then they got to figure out how to turn it into points. The Terran economy is pretty good. I'm liking Cliff's gameplay here quite a lot. He's got research. He's got options. Oh, I see. That's where I missed one of the QIC that he got. When he grabbed the 1 ore, 1 QIC tile, he moved up on navigation. So that indicates that he's interested in getting to navigation 3. I see. I guess that can help him up in the north a little bit with those Gaia projects over there. Doesn't seem that important otherwise, but I guess, with the Terrans, there's only so many things you need to do, right? He's going to go up navigation. He's going to go up Gaia forming, and going up extra Gaia forming now, like, he doesn't necessarily need to rush. He's got a little bit extra time. So I can see that he is not in a big hurry to go up that track, given that he's gotten kind of extra research along the way through the power actions. And we're taking actions. It's started round 3. Let's pause. We're pausing. Okay. We'll quickly comment on those 2, and then I'm going to take a break. Really snap fast actions here. Looks like we spent 3 charge for Blake, so he did a dig. Oh yeah, he did a dig going out westward onto that white planet. Really awkward that it's this turn. That he took that first when he needed the coins last turn. But I guess just developing in a specific way, and he knows that he needs to go out there to continue on towards that black planet, give himself some additional space for building that federation to be over there. And then Ricky, who has absolutely no coins, is very happy to take a power action to get those coins. Wouldn't be surprised to see Bryant grab the 2 ore right after this. All right. See you in a moment. All right, after this one, we're going to hit the grow. Round three. Okay, so we're on Bryant. This is a big building turn. We're going to see a lot of academies, which actually means that this might be a little bit of a shorter round for some people than others. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like Blake is a smidge short on resources. He's got actually... He could convert the QIC if he wanted to do the academy thing. So that could be literally his whole turn, is just doing the academy and then being done. But instead, he might kind of do the counterplay. Like, he doesn't need to do an academy. He could kind of expand outwards. He also is going to use his little Best God ability. I don't think he's going to do it for terraforming just yet. Well, he could actually, I guess, for the workers. That would be pretty reasonable. But the other option that he has is going up on the economy track, because he's been struggling with money, certainly, this game. Bryant, what did you do? Didn't grab the power action, so he didn't need the workers as much as I thought. He just cycled the power stone instead. What did you do? I don't see any new things in play. You'd already upgraded the building. He's at 0 research. So did he research? Oh yeah, he went to level 2 navigation. Haha! My powers of misperception. So he can like grab that other mine and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess he's saying I don't really need the workers. I still think that I would have just grabbed them. Kind of prevents opponents. Like now's a good time as any with the brainstone situation. Seems like it would have been reasonable to me. Cliff built his mine just to be one and done with it, which means that Bryant got to charge the brainstone, which works out nicely for him. Okay, and so Blake is saying, I'm not going for the big buildings. I'm just going to go for a full 8 mines. I'm expanding ever outward. I can't help but think that was maybe his plan from the very, very, very beginning, that was what he was going to do. Ricky charged some power. Pretty funny how there's like sort of a land grab at the beginning, and now people are taking very, very quick turns, knowing that they're trying to just charging up their actions. Bryant again is in the situation where he's got power and options of things to do. Again, I don't think he's contesting anybody taking that brown planet of his, so I don't think he's in a big hurry there. I would probably just take the 2 ore here, or maybe even the 2 research, because he's not so great at research, and it's been actually a pretty contested spot. But he will take the double dig with his flying and grab this orange spot. Now, that's not a spot that I think other people were interested in taking. I think that's a spot where he's communicating. He's like carving out lands for where he thinks his federations are going to be going. Because it's connected nicely to the academy. It makes me wonder if he's planning in the long term for that research station on the right side to head southward, because no, it could just be the research station, the academy, and the mine there, and then that mine that's by the Ivet thing that can deal with itself up in the corner there, and they could build something else separately entirely. That makes sense. Cliff built himself a research lab. Now he's going to grab the guy that I was talking about last turn. He does need a worker, which could just be a QIC, to build on his Gaia formed spot this round. And then research-wise, I don't know. I mean, Cliff could be looking just to go up to 3 navigation, or he could, I guess, grab the extra... start marching his way up the Gaia forming track, which also gives him the power to get the additional 3 charge if he goes to the 3rd level, which I think is part of the reason why I took that navigation the last turn as well, for the immediate bonus, because I don't think he needs to get anywhere with 3 flying this turn or even next turn. I think he did it for the resources last turn. Kind of jank to use navigation for resources, but hey, it works. Here we see more charge, 3 charge. Oh, you're taking these. Because he's spread out, so I guess he recognizes that with 3 charge, he's gonna need to make a fair amount of satellites. And next turn is turn 4, the important turn 4, where we're building upwards. Yeah, and Blake's setup's a little bit awkward right now, because on the right side of the board, in the east side of the board, it'd be nice for him to be able to make 2 federations there, right? Like grab the planet, the brown planet there, and he's got all these different black planets, which the best gods are going to be really good at, but he has to build a planetary institute first for them to do that. So he could have kind of a change next turn if he has enough resources. I do think that he's a bit resource strapped right now. Ivets somehow got more power. They got more power by going up the Navigation track. Again, I think that's got to be a like a resource thing, because the 3 charge, he wants the charge so that he can get the resources, get the QIC. And I think he did that with research. Yeah, he did it with research. Yeah, I'm wondering how much. So like, if he had, because he had the flinger last turn. Yeah, a couple QIC could have done essentially what his navigation has done so far. But admittedly, he got a lot of. He maybe just wouldn't have enough QIC. I'm not convinced that the sailing is. I'm not impressed by it yet. Prove me wrong, Ricky, please. Love learning something new. Bryant's pushing up coins here rather than the worker with the power stone. That's an interesting choice. He must have a very specific count in mind, which makes sense. He's got 7 ore, so he's going to use probably 6 of it for the academy and then 1 of it for something else, I think. Here we see Cliff is going to grab those 2 ore that have been sitting there for a minute. He just kind of slowly worked his way there with normal charge. He's just been sitting in a couple of nice spots in terms of picking up charge here and there. That's I think made a nice difference for how the Terran game plan is coming out. Right now, I like the Terran's game plan the most. Like, I think that Terrans notoriously score really well in endgame scoring. So do Taklons. So Best Gods and Ivets, I think, might be in a smidge of trouble there. Although the Best Gods are probably going to be in great shape for the spreading out the Federation in many places. So it's going to be competitive there. Best Gods going up on Gaia forming. I mean, I guess they have to at some point. Might as well now when they have the extra power tokens. So that might be why he grabbed that. That's interesting. That makes sense. Continues to expand. Carves away some of the territory for a player that I perceive to be doing pretty well right now. Here we're going to see that Ivet Academy. And in terms of what he's going to take, he also says, I'm going to be doing terraforming. I don't know if you saw me, but I want to see what Cliff's reaction was. He didn't have much of a reaction to that. But 2 players suddenly moving into terraforming makes that a suddenly very, very much more choked area where it was wide open a second ago. Production of some coins and research is a nice little touch. It's certainly awkward to get on turn 3 rather than turn 1, but there's still enough time left in the game that it's worth the production at this stage, I would say. This kind of starts becoming the last turn where those like production ones are really worthwhile versus like, this is the one that I have to take. Which you can get to that situation. Here we're also going to see another academy from Bryant as the Taklons. Interesting. So he is looking towards his Federation situation next turn. And I think that so now I am back to thinking that those academies they're going to make 2 separate federations. He's going to make one federation kind of hugging the left side of the sandwiched Terran mine there, and then I think the one on the right there, it's gonna have to dig into something. I missed what Cliff did, but he has his Gaia former back, so he must have built a mine there. Yeah, that's why Ricky's charging. Charge for everybody. This is inevitable. So now's the time for other people, by the way. Bryant's on full. So now's the time for people to charge Bryant if they're building up around him. Granted, most of the resources are gone at this point in time. I don't know if Blake is planning on building like a trading post this turn. I think would be a pretty viable build for him. Like he knows that he's going to need trading posts. Trading posts don't give him any money. The research station does. The trading post is going to give him research because he's playing Best Gods. but he gives up an ore for it. So he might be sitting here counting. He's making 7 ore for next turn. He's got a bunch right now. So what can he accomplish with that? But before getting more charge, he's actually just going to go ahead and put down his terraformer over there. Like I said, in the east side of the board, where he wants to make sure that he is making 3 different federations rather than just 2. That's a nice little spot there because it also forces Ricky to kind of pick his Gaia project somewhere closer to Cliff's side of the board. So I like that grab of Blake's. That's a good thing for him to have noticed, that grabbing that in advance of Ricky trying to grab it because it connects to his stuff, I think is a nice touch. Yeah, Ricky's got a lot of power charge, and it's been a little bit awkward managing it. So I think he's doing something right now where he's burning some, getting some coins, and then making the 6 to spend it out. So it's not very efficient. It's the thing that you can only really accomplish with the Ivets, because errantly burning charges the Ivets is like totally fine. Who cares? They don't use those power tokens really for anything, unlike other factions that need the power tokens for federating. So the Ivets have a lot more flexibility with how they manage their power than other folks do. And he grabbed the spot to contest Cliff right there, but it also connects his federation over to the mine that he's got there. Man, he's got such a long route there. He's got a long way to go with those space stations. So he's going to be collecting some QIC at the end of the game that are just going to be doing their own thing. But the reason that actually build is very important right now is because next turn is the federating turn. And so he's going to be able to kind of connect on the left side there, make his first federation that way for relatively cheaper, I think, than he would have had to otherwise. Maybe even a second. No, I don't think so. Part of the reason I don't like this, like if it's navigation thing, is because usually one of the things that's nice about Ivets is that it's easy to make federations early, and we see that Ricky here is actually scrambling to make one on the 4th turn of the game. Not to say that he'll have any trouble making one on the 4th turn of the game, but will he be able to make 2? A lot of people can, and the Ivets should definitely be able to. So he's having to work to make that a reality. Cliff did some research. He went up the Gaia forming track. Now he's got opponents that are pressuring him. So that like points per federation at the top of that track is one that, that can score 15 points, but a lot of times it'll only score 10 because an opponent will press you on needing to grab that one. So now he's saying, well, I got to get to the top of that track first. Like I said it before, I don't really need the navigation as much. Although he might actually need 3 navigations soon because people are coming to grab his Gaia forming spots, and he's going to run out of space. I think Blake is debating what gets upgraded here. Oh, secret research. I see. He could go up on research, gives him some, well, it's a little bit of wasted power charge right now, so that's a bummer. It's actually a tough choice for him because there aren't very exciting options. I think going up on research is the most exciting in terms of like where he wants to be, but it is a little bit of a shame that it's a waste of a power charge there. Yeah. And this actually maybe also explains why he did the Gaia Project last turn, because he can't charge 3 then, right? Like those are, well, he can charge 3, but it's a waste because they're going to immediately then get basically consumed by this Gaia Project if they're in slot 1. So removing them from slot 1 does that. He would have really liked to get some charge over the past round so that he didn't have to waste the 1 charge, but that's okay. It's only 1 charge, I guess. Ricky's passing here. Just grabs some resources and his 8 points. I think it's late enough in the game that it would have been worth considering grabbing that research station one. I think this indicates like how much. Oh, what are we missing? We're doing a whole back roll. Because he didn't place a space station. Okay. And they were nice about it too, because he passed that card, so they could have been mean about it. But it makes a lot of sense. I think I approve of giving him the opportunity to do this, but yeah, it's late at night. They've already been playing for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Oh my God. They're not even halfway. It doesn't matter. I mean, whichever one you place, it's all going to be part of the same network. So, placing on the right there would be wild. I think you're just connecting towards the left, or maybe jumping over towards the academy there. That's another option too. Oh, I see. He's deciding between left or right, so I guess it does matter. I think he's going right towards the academy. It's already basically built, right? Like that is 7 right there. He's trying to see if he can do multiple. I think that if he had dug and built the one that I'd suggested all the way back on round 2, he could easily double Federate next turn. Now, as it is, we'll see if he can do it. It's the real question. All right. Bryant looks like he's building a mine somewhere. He's doing the flinger to do that one in the south, so he is indeed committing to that academy on the right side, connecting there. He's going to be a little short on charge tokens. That's going to be a choke point for him, which is really awkward as tack-ons because you've just burned through your charge tokens. And he probably needs to build something else. I mean, I think it's a triple dig for a red. Yeah, it's a triple dig for a red, so that's not ideal. Double dig for a white, maybe. But again, those require some more satellites. Or an orange. It's not ideal. He's a little bit stymied on those resources, I would say. I think that's pretty much Cliff's only real option there. Oh, I guess that's not true. He has the QIC, so he could go in other places. But if he's able to kind of complete, I think he's going to do an academy in the south, and he's trying to structure also an academy in the west there. The real question is whether that academy in the west is going to require those other things in the north. Because if not, that carves for 3 very nice things. But I don't think he's got quite enough juice to make that group in the west into a federation. And he might just end up slow rolling it, not take the 5 points for doing it in round 4, so that he can ensure essentially that he's going to get the federations that he wants to get. All right, and we see Blake here claiming the research tile, or the research lab tile, score him 3 points at the end of the round. He's got a research lab in play, and he's making 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's actually his 4th research, so it makes sense because now he can actually do a research action as well. Now we see the Evans passing. Did he take a different one? Yeah, I think he ended up taking the one that Blake put in. I think it's points for mines. And we get a pass here and a grab of the big building guy. It's a lot of points and power charge. So we actually see the Taclons dumping all the rest of their charge down there which they normally wouldn't do, but they are because they are just innately charging a whole bunch next turn. So it's going to fling their Brainstone back into their slot 3. And then we've got the Terrans who are about to wrap up here. They just grab some resources. Yeah, it looks like they don't need that Flinger, although the Flinger probably would save them a QIC. The research, though... Oh, it's their 4th point of research. Yeah, a lot of those 1 research bonuses have really... They've done quite a bit of work for folks in this game. Really sort of like given different people the opportunity to have their 4th research point, and people have been spending down to 0 on research every turn. Like, they've managed that quite masterfully throughout the course of the game. This 4th round is going to be a huge one because people are getting their federations. You know, the question is, like, is Bryant going to grab that advanced technology at the top of that track there to score some points? Are Ricky or Cliff, either of them, interested in getting to the top of navigation and grabbing that advanced tech? It's not very good for either of them. Neither of them are especially good at collecting research. They've been kind of scrambling for the research. So I don't know that that's something that's very valuable. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but they just don't have like a combo set up for it. So it's fine, I guess is what I'm saying. But people are going to be scrambling for the resources to make sure that they make things work. Yeah, Blake with the best gods actually, like, now that he's got his mines and his research stations in play, he's got ore and money. So he's actually, I'm having a hard time like remembering exactly what he ended up placing down. I think it's mostly mines and a research station over there, but I think he's going to end up building the big building this turn so that he can just start federating over there in the east. And he might be able to double federate in the east. I think it's very, very feasible. It's tough, but it's feasible. Maybe I'm overestimating his state. He has to build a bit more than I think. I still think he's going to build the big building. He's going to need it at some point. He wants to federate at least once this turn, so might as well make it efficient. And all of his potential spots have a black planet on them, so I think that is what he's going to be looking for. Cliff's going to just grab probably a pile of cash here. Yep, that's for the Terran, because cash is where he's really struggling now. He's done a good job of getting the research that he needs through past tiles and actions and things like that, and the money from the beginning really helped him a lot too. But now at this stage, he's just using that Terran Planetary Institute to give him some cash. And I think that's a good pause point for us here. So, time for me to get some dinner. Burgered up. Let's go for round 4. Just making sure my cats aren't killing each other. We have a brand new baby cat. I think I mentioned that already. All right, we are looking at Blake. Blake's probably doing a lot of math here, figuring out what he's got to do. So if he does want to do what I suggested and build up to the big boy, it's going to cost him 6 workers and like 9. Oh no, the big boy's off of his research station. So actually, it's just the 4/6, I think. So he could build that off of one of his research stations. And then over on the east side there, he would have the upgraded guy plus the 2 mines. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's 7 right there. What'd he do? Research? He went up a track with the best god ability to get the 2 workers, okay? And then he also wants to, I think, maybe dig a spot, that brown spot over there, because then he would have 1, 2, 3, 4 mines. One of them's on a black spot. That's 5. So if he can dig that spot and then do 2 upgrades to like trading posts over there, that would be enough on that side. So that's 4, 5, 9 workers and 6, 7, 8, 9... 11, 13 money, but he can get like money as a resource in the middle. So if he can get a single dig, I think that might be the path that he's going for this turn. Ricky just charges. setting himself up to do some other action possibly, but he had a lot of stuff sitting in the one slot because of the Gaia project. Same with Blake. Neither of them are really going to be doing much in the way of power actions, which is pretty nice for Bryant here. That's John, who's kind of like the main head honcho, I think, talking to these guys. I wonder if he's commenting on the fact that 3 of them are from the finals last year. Oh, I'm playing at that table behind them. I'm playing Terraforming Mars. You can't see me, but you can certainly see my opponents. I think we start and end after them. Maybe I should have taken more time. You're not getting into a fight, are you? All right. Okay, so Brian says, look, I need to solve my problem that I recognize that I'm having with the satellites that we mentioned last time, right? He might actually be going for 3 federations. That would be pretty bold. I don't think he has the resources to pull that off. I think building that is primarily an acknowledgement that he has got trouble with the number of satellites that he can build. Cliff in the tank here. I think he maybe didn't expect to have all of these power options coming back to him. So he's counting out what he needs. So he's got 3, 4, 5, 6 in the south. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the north, although he has to build one of those mines, but it will be a mine. And so I think he's got to decide whether he wants to do that like northern one and then try to essentially just build another federation elsewhere. I think the other federation would go maybe in the west if he can like fling and Gaia form over there. It's going to be kind of contested, one of those spots for best gods, but he could probably grab the blue and then maybe the white over there. That's actually contested with best gods too. So actually might be a little troublesome. But on the east side, those Gaia forming spots, they're going to go away because Ricky's interested in grabbing them too. Looks like Cliff did research, essentially charging maximum things into his bowl so he can take multiple power actions now. Looks like Ivit's going to take 1, and then Cliff essentially could take really any 2 actions that he wants to take. I think it's very, very likely that the Ivits are going to take coins here. They are just so behind on money compared to everything else. I gotta say, as far as this game is going, I think Ricky's in trouble. His economy is just so much worse than everybody else's. And generally, Ivits don't do well at endgame scoring. The ones that are here actually for this game are decent for him. But I'm not seeing him like anywhere where he's getting a really sweet advanced tech tile right now. I would put the Ivits position as one of the worst here. Terrans are always just good at scoring points. So you always got to rub some respect on them. I didn't notice the Ivits they do have like a 15-point advantage right now over the average player, which is nice. Taclons have just an amazing machine going, good space carved out, good charge going on. They just need to figure out how to score points, and I think a lot of that is going to have to do with the advanced technologies. I am really surprised that no one pushed up the terraforming track. I guess the way that the board is laid out just isn't very friendly towards a terraforming setup, and no one really had the research to just aggressively kind of go up it. So Ricky grabbed the coins there, and then Bryant made a really quick play. I don't think I saw what it was. Did he build a mine somewhere? No. Didn't charge. Did you research? I think I just missed what Brian did. I don't know. Cliff took an action. He took the 2 workers. So while Blake's thinking about, let's see if we can reverse engineer. Bryant didn't upgrade anything because those things were already upgraded. Here comes Blake's mine, his Gaia formed mine. Yeah, I have no idea what Bryant did. Not prepared for an uncharacteristically fast tackle-on turn. Distracted by my cats, who I don't want to get in trouble with each other. They're still being introduced to each other, which is why it's a question. So Ricky here is counting his resources. He didn't have a lot of workers going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 workers going on here. He could burn out for like a weaker power action. Looks like he's going to go ahead and spend one of his QIC to federate, grab himself. Looks like he got a QIC for the building, which I guess suggests that he doesn't think that he needs any more workers or money this turn. QIC is fun for if it's because they can kind of jam the 3 QIC action and then like get a rebate of a QIC on it and essentially make sure that they're dominating those green actions, which is really going to be Ricky's path to victory in this game if he's got one. Here we've got Bryant building a mine over in the yellow region there with oh, I see. We're playing in a funny order? No, we should still be playing around the table. Should be Cliff's turn. I don't think Cliff passed for the round. What is going on? Is something wrong about the order? No, I don't think so. Oh, it was a charge action, and then he ran off. I see. And he decided to charge. Sure, that makes sense. I still can't quite figure out what he did the previous turn. Oh, he's just getting water. Precious life-giving water. Cliff is probably debating whether he wants the 2 research. Like, it's a good action for him, as he's demonstrated many times this game, but he might need his power to do power things if he is going to try to do 2 federations. Like, he might just be a little short. He also might be counting his satellite situation. He would need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 as he's going for a double, and he's got 4, 5, 6, 7. So he could be going for some more charge tokens as well. But just straight up building that academy there, that's going to give him the 7 down there. It is going to make him pretty broke pretty fast, which is going to imply that he's not, well, he still has enough to federate in the north, actually, because he's that close, I think. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he might have to use some QIC to make it happen. If he grabs coins as his city, that might be the thing. This is really interesting. So he's grabbing production here. I mean, so he's grabbing essentially 2 workers, 2 charge, rather than the 4 charge, because it would move him up the same track. So he thinks that 2 workers and 2 charge is better than 12 charge. Might be because he's already got some charge kind of in the bottom row there, and you know, Terrans have that funny thing where, like, essentially once the charge goes to the bottom row, you're not really expecting to cycle it all the way around again. That's really interesting. Quick turn for Blake. He built the Planetary Institute that we've been talking about. Is this going to be a QIC action? Looks like we got the 3 QICs lined up. No, it was something else. Oh, he built out his Gaia former mine, looks like, and everyone's just charging for that. Okay. Connecting his whole thing out. So he's got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, if he wants to spend the QICs, he can definitely double federate this turn. I think I often forget that the space stations are... Well, no, I don't. I use it all the time. I was going to say I forget that the space stations are worth 1 each, but that's definitely a thing I take advantage of when I'm the IVID, so I don't forget it. I think I just didn't count it in round 3. You causing trouble. She can cause trouble. Bryant's got a lot of power here, so I think he's deciding whether he's cashing in or doing something else. He maybe hasn't gotten the number of charges that he's wanted this turn and is realizing it might be a little bit lighter than he thought. I think he definitely doesn't have the satellites or the resources to make 3 feds, so he's still trying to make 2. Might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew realistically. Or I made the wrong assumption. That's also very possible. He made 1 coin and then took the 5 action. So he built a mine that he absolutely needed. Oh, and he needed the coin because he's out of money. Got it. So he's going to federate. Well, he needs to upgrade something. So he needs some coins. Yeah, he's going to have to, he can cycle 4 power with his thing if that's not an option for him. And here Cliff is going to claim that area up north that we were talking about before that might be contested by Ricky. It'll be interesting to see if Ricky grabs that other one because Cliff can't conveniently fly there. Oh, clever. So instead of digging that brown, Blake is just using the ones that he has already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the trading post. So he doesn't have to build another trading post. But then what's he going to do in the south there? He's going to have to... He doesn't have the resources to build it all the way up. Because it could be like 2 3-size buildings, right? And then one of them's on the black planet. So he either needs to build one of them all the way up, and that'll be a long-term plan, or he could claim the Gaia spot down in the south there, which is certainly a very easy plan. So he might not be getting a second fed this turn then. He might just be doing the 1. Oh, look at how whitewashed I am. Let's mess with the lighting situation. Hold on. All better. It's our bearings. We're back to Ricky. Looks like I really do appreciate that they've passed in such a manner that is clockwise. It is very conducive to my experience. And theirs. I was just counting out loud what goes where. It's just a question of how many QIC he wants to spend, I think. No matter what, functionally, the satellite that he builds is just going to connect the greater network, I think. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if he built a satellite, 8, 9, QIC, 10, 11, QIC, 12. It's actually tighter than I think it is. But he could, upgrade one of those to a trading post. Probably the one out by Blake's stuff over there on the east. Oh, he's saying I don't need it. He's just expanding. Fascinating. Or maybe he's counted it out that he can't. I think he can. Maybe he's deciding it's not worth it. It feels like it is worth it to do it this turn. I mean, it's 5 points, which is close to what you're getting for using your QICs to do those green actions. I mean, not as much, but he's going to have to spend them at some point anyway. So you kill that plant. All right, so here we go with the first of the federations. Unfortunately, needing to include that mine south of the Planetary Institute there instead of upgrading it because we're out of coins. And then, of course, taking coins. So that's going to allow us to build a trading post in the south for the second federation. And then I guess the plan essentially with the Planetary Institute is just to build the mines around there. So it's certainly an easy spot, even though I think it would have been, yeah, it's just a nice, easy spot. It actually doesn't end up making much of a difference anyway. Looks like that was a trading post down in the south. Maybe I've miscounted. There actually is a way for him to get up there. And he's charging people. Cliff, that's a tough choice, actually. Cliff might neglect to spend the 2 for the charge because ultimately he's ideally going to use those 4 charge to build another Gaia former thing. He's only got the 1 out there so far. He's supposed to have a second. It's just not sitting on his playboard, it looks like. Maybe it's off to the left or something. So, trading post, maybe? Two, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to keep counting his over and over again. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If he upgrades it, it's 12. Yeah, I mean, if he spends the QIC, he's got the 14. I think here's what it comes down to with the Ivets is I really like building Ivets up. I don't like building Ivets out. I think that it doesn't seem to be as beneficial. Interesting. So he's choosing over on the left side instead of the right side. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He's going to have to do both, I feel like. And that charges the Taclons right now. I mean, it's a good spot for him to get charge. In part, though, I almost feel like we're hitting the part of the game where it's like, yeah, I'm okay taking 1 charge instead of 2 charge for victory point. I'd still rather take 2 charge for victory point. I mean, I guess that answers the question. Since I'd rather take 2 charge for victory point, why not set yourself up for doing that? Was that a research? Yeah, it was a research for the Taclons to get some terraforming rocks. After this round, it'll be cat feeding time. Right on. So now what Cliff takes, I think, will kind of indicate what he's... Okay. So taking 2 research... Oh, I was talking about his Gaia form when he still needed those satellites for for federating, of course. Either way, not taking the charge, right? That's an upgrade there for Blake. Oh, that's what he's going to do. He's going to grab the upgraded buildings are worth 4. Because then that's 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the magic number right there. Got it. Okay. Cool. That puts him to the top of the research track. That makes it so that he can make a second federation down there. Total miss on my part. That makes a lot of sense. He also hasn't put out his academies yet, so he actually might be able to do 4 federations in total because the left side of the board is still kind of a bit open right now. He can grab that. He can grab that black tile to the south. Which I wonder actually if it would have been worth it for Bryant to grab the... Oh, he can't fly there. Never mind. I was going to say, like, have grabbed the black one instead of the yellow one. It's one extra satellite distance for him, but it's got a little bit of flexibility in that as Taclons with the Planetary Institute. Just to kind of block best gods, but he didn't have the range. I mean, he could have used a QIC, but suddenly that gets a lot more expensive. Looks like my whole discussion about Ricky building trading posts is irrelevant because he ends up building both of them anyway, so what does it matter? Bryant's got a zillion resources still, dang. Can he actually do 3? I think I have underestimated this man. I think I'm also just underestimating the resources a person gets when they do a federation. So that's his trading post, so that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, his limiter here does really feel like it's going to be satellites more than anything. It might be a little bit goofy, but he might actually consider spending 3 power to get the 2 extra power discs, even though he's got the Taclon Planetary Institute. Because the other players are not building a whole lot between now and the end of the round. And if he has his Planetary Institute up there and he grabs both mines and then either upgrades one or digs the yellow, that's what he needs, right? 3, 4, 5. Oh, no, 2 more. Oh, it's a little bit tighter. It's tight. He can almost get the 3rd fed. Cliff built, I think his Gaia. Oh, that's why one of his Gaia formers was away, because he hadn't played out the Gaia former that was already in play. That makes sense. I think there's a good chance that next turn he claims the spot for his Gaia former, so he's not competing with his opponents. There it is. The smallest federation that ever lived. Well done from a best god perspective. Guess he's counting resources to see what he can do for the rest of the round, or what he wants to do for the rest of the round. Maybe his production. I could see him taking coins or workers here. I think he's still got piles of mines. Yeah, but he's got the 2 research stations. Looks like he's taking coins. Might be a little bit of a block, honestly. I could see him going one way or the other. And coins are something that I think the other players are very tight on. No one has grabbed the 4 coin income. Bryant's the only one that's really on the economy track. And so I think coins have been a pretty tight resource this game. And he just grabbed the last coin federation. So I think if it's sort of like 6 half dozen for him, then he might as well. All right. So there's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and we need 1 more. It's 14. See, so he cost himself a QIC by placing the satellite out there. And I mean, I guess it's going to give him the option to go do a Gaia project out there. That's why he wants it. But he has 2 other spots he could do Gaia projects. It's not like he's going to get blocked out of Gaia projects this turn. The kitties. Gotta do it for the snap. All right, sorry about that. Partner's not here with the new cats, and so she's requested many photos. Brainstone for some cash. Oh, that was a Bryant power charge. And here we go. Cliff cashing out. researching first. Here he is grabbing the lost mine. This makes sense. He's not really contesting other stuff. Gives him some flexibility about where he's going to drop his things. And him playing over there says, to me, he's trying to split between a northwest and a northeast. A northwest and a northeast federation in the long run, rather than the suggested northern one this turn and then attempting to scrape something together in the west. He just wants to guarantee that he gets the 2 more federations, it looks like. Also, the Lost Mine is another building that goes in the Federation because of that end game goal. The 4 range allows Cliff to sail out all the way to the west there. So that makes sense too. Best Gods, I think, went up research. Maybe, I think they went up the research that gives them some power charge. What's funny is they have that Gaia former and no way to Gaia form right now. Well, they've got 3 power sitting in slot 3, so maybe they're going to grab 2 more power since Bryant didn't seem to need it. It doesn't seem to need it, frankly, at this point. He's gotten enough charge since I commented that it might be a problem. Oh, he hasn't actually built the other Federation yet, so it might be a problem. We'll see. But here Ricky's hooking him up with another upgrade. It matters who he charges. And it does feel like a mistake to charge Attack-Ons at this point in time rather than one for the Terrans, who might even just throw it into their Gaia former anyway. Resources. Man with a plan. Yep. Resources. Let's make the Federation. So if he takes 2 more power charge things right now, well, no. I think he's... It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6, 7. With those 2 workers, he certainly has enough resources to make a new federation in the north. But whether he's going to have the satellites for it is the big challenge. And 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he used 3 or 4. I think 7, 8, 9. I think he maybe was supposed to take the additional diskies. It's tough to say. Either way, he needs something to help him out, I think. Cliff sailing to the spot that we suggested. This makes it so that he doesn't have to worry about what Blake's doing and blocking him out on the free territory over there in the west. Pretty much guarantees that Western Federation is going to be fine for him to make, and he can start upgrading stuff in the northeastern one, essentially, as they start touching other things. It's interesting that Cliff is behind in points by the margin that he is, given that he's federated and he's playing the Terrans who, score points for placing on green spots. I think a lot of that has come down to the fact that he's earned a lot of charge this game, same as the Taclons. Obviously, it's more efficient on the Taclons, whereas Blake has really not earned that much charge this game. He's got 2 federations, so that's a little bump there. If it's also have 2 federations, but also they just tend to score more in the midst of the game. So, these are generally low scores, and that's what you would expect to see at this state in the game. This is not, you don't have 2/3 of your score 2/3 of the way through the game. You have whatever, a quarter of your score 2/3 of the way through the game. New cat is trying to figure out if she can get on the table. Ricky can research here. So I think that's all he pretty much has left to debate. There's not really any power actions he can take, even though he's just got a pile of power sitting in slot 2 here. Unless he's got maybe some hidden workers. I assume he's out of workers. So, gonna research here. And he's gonna keep going up Gaia forming. He doesn't need the power for sure. So he's pushing up there to try to get, he thinks that he can get to the, I think he thinks that he can get to the top of that track and get the bonus for the advanced technology. Maybe he's just acknowledging there's like nothing else he wants to do. I mean, I wonder if this could have been the time for the Ivets to pivot to going up the green track, the QIC track, because he uses the QICs. He needs those QICs for the QIC point scoring actions. And then the advanced tech on that track can be very good for him. 4 points for each trading post. He's currently got 3. Or even pushing up I'm still surprised no one's pushing up the terraforming track. I mean, there's a lot of points to be had there. I feel like there's going to be a rush on it. Like whoever just has the most, essentially like resources to make it up there. And that is going to be a really significant boost to the player that gets up there. Because if one player can get up there and get all the stuff, if they can get the Federation and the advanced technology, that feels really good. It's later in the game, though, so I guess that advanced technology is not as exciting. You want to get that advanced technology on turn 4, I guess. It's still okay on turn. It's still good on turn 5. I think Ricky's just going to get boxed out by Cliff on the... I mean, I guess Cliff has not great research capabilities right now. Ricky's going to do a complete about face. He's going to go from struggling with money to not needing the money at all. And it's a little bit awkward that he built those trading posts because he's scoring 1 point for every mine this turn. Okay, so this is... Was that a research post? Yeah, that was a research lab or whatever. And then he's going to make a run on that track, which makes sense. He should be the one who makes a run on that track. Did they miscount? Or was it not his turn? Or maybe he just said, I want to do something different. And they're rolling it back because they've generally been pretty into the rolling it back, even with the card pass. Cliff, what's the arrow telling us? What are we supposed to see? Are you saying you think that Ricky is secretly winning? Here's a mine instead. Significantly less exciting than what I just did. he might end up doing all the things and just realizing that he should do the thing that before, like, there's a contest, or I guess maybe generate a charge if Cliff decides to upgrade it or something. Wow, man, Ricky flexed on that blue spot and Cliff got there anyway. That's friggin' hilarious. Oh, I hate the navigation ivits even more. I know who wins this game, but I actually don't know what the placings are for the rest. My assumption is that Ricky comes in dead last. I know that I was told them at some point, but like I just feel like the Ivets are struggling quite a lot here. They have most of what they're going to get this game. Meanwhile, Best Gods have the upside of 2 more federations, which is also true of the Terrans, and then 1 or 2 more for the Taklons. I wouldn't be surprised to see if it's 2 more for the Taklons. Like they might build out their whole board this game. I don't know where they carve that last federation is the real challenge. Space is going to be their issue more so than resources, but if they go up the terraforming track, they can take any space. Oh, and that spot I think is where Ricky wanted to go as well. I mean, it's also where Blake wanted to go. No question that he's gonna contest that. Was Ricky supposed to go there as a previous action? Take this guy and block instead. Yeah, and then it ended up just costing Ricky a QIC. Ugh. Everything is bad. Where's the other troublemaker? Taklons have the hardest game, like, to see from here forward. Like, they've got the 2 federations right now and tons of economy. Just doing Taklon things essentially. I think it makes a lot of sense to grab the advanced technology for 3 points every time you do a trading post, because he can then sort of like continue to expand to the sides. He can move up the terraforming track, expand out. So expanding outwards and expanding upwards is good for him. And he needs a way to score points. Now, I guess he doesn't need to do it just now. He could do it next turn. You don't need to run. He could do it next turn. Like, there's, as long as he doesn't build any trading posts, there isn't really an advantage towards rushing it. Pass for the broke Terrans. Looks like he claimed one of the point tiles. I would assume it's a point tile. I don't know. All the point tiles are out in play. So he claimed the QIC one with $2 maybe? Yeah, QIC and $2. Not the most exciting place. He'd rather get a 0.1, but I think he's just forced to end the turn here. I mean, that was a good turn for Terrans. It's a shame that they couldn't get their other Fed up, but I think that's okay. Completely missed what Best Gods did here. Could be an upgraded building. Oh, now we're going into a horrible zigzag order. No. Again, no pass tile for points there. Hurts Ricky too. Wow, Bryant with the pass here. That's really interesting. So he wants that pass tile with the 1 point per thing. He could keep building here, but I guess he's realizing that if he upgrades his trading post to a research station, and actually is a little bit worse. Like he needs the coins, and yeah, sure, he gets a research income, but since he's not taking income, he can just kind of do that upgrade anytime. So there's no reason to rush out the research station and save the points. And he's not going to be digging quite yet. So might as well grab this pass tile that he wants. I think I dig that. And then best gods, I think, are just straight up broke here. And they grab the big tile. Yeah, big tile. Only a little bit awkward in the sense that the last round gives you 5 points for playing big tile. So we might see Blake just playing off turn cycle here. And throwing down some academies this turn, because then he can get advantage of the whatever research he gets off of them. But this turn it's points for playing on green spaces, I believe. Yeah, I think it's points for playing on green spaces. So all those Gaia projects are gonna, pay out extra. And even more so for Cliff, who's got the extra technology around it. It's unlikely that the other players will grab that tech. Moving up economy is really awkward at this stage in the game. And it's 3 points now and then maybe 3 points next turn. So 6 points, which is like respectable. Maybe 9 if they get that green planet in the bottom left, but just doesn't look promising for that. These tracks, I think the competition, it's pretty clear that Terrans will win first on greens, and then it's kind of probably the Ivets, but it could be a best god like tie for second place or something like that. I appreciate that Bryant was just like, I lose on that one, just decided not to play. And then Federation ones, I mean, we can't tell until the end. The best gods are going to have their 4 feds. I think the Tacons are likely to take it, but there's actually a really good chance the Terrans can too, because he's setting up for at least 3, and I'm realizing there's a chance with the Lost Planet there that it's possible that Cliff could actually make 4 Federations as the Terrans this game. I think probably not, given the contests that there are for Gaia projects out there, but yeah. Oh, now we're doing this horrible zigzag. So at the end of the round, yeah, I mean, Bryant kept a lot of resources from last turn. So we can't just look at his resources and say, oh, that's a lot. I feel like the best god income situation is pretty decent too. They just have enough stuff on the board, and they're really taking advantage of the fact that those research stations make money instead of research. But they've moved up on the research track to shore it up. So they have a nice, even, balanced economy really in all ways, which I think has proven to be quite helpful. Not so great on the power side. They don't take that many power actions, but yeah, the economy there is good. Gaia form, probably money for the Terrans. 1 of each, essentially. One worker, 5 money, looks like. And we have these guys going first, and we'll take a quick break and feed the cats. Cats fed. Let's go. Round 5. So much time left in this game. There's 2 hours. 2 hours. Maybe it's not true. I'm fingers crossed. Maybe the last hour is just one of those dud hours. Cliff starts off by just building out his thing. I think that he might feel like he needs to rush for the Gaia situation, although his all his stuff is over in slot 2 right now. or pool 2. So I could see him getting charge, immediately cashing it in, and then grabbing essentially the other Gaia forming planets out there, or at least the one up in the northeast at the very least. It's points for him. He doesn't want to fight Ricky about it. And Ricky says, all right, I'll contend you by just advancing on the research so he can actually just do it with the things that he has in store right now. So that's a pretty nasty contest of that top right location. That's a rush. It's a rush for the spot. Bryant here. What did he do? He's thinking maybe he made a worker with his brainstone already. Yeah, it looks like. He's going to research. All right, he's going to rush the terraforming track. I think that makes sense. I think he's in the best position to do so. But not really in a great position to do so. Everyone kind of sucks at science this game a little bit. The best gods are ostensibly the best at it, but all the research that it would have gotten from the research stations has been coins instead, which is better, frankly. But I think they're going to have a hard time contesting it. My guess is that their little move your lowest thing is going to... Well, actually, I don't know what they're going to do. If they need the QIC now, they'll do the QIC now. If not, then it's going to be QIC next turn with it, because no matter what, they're going to be moving economy and QICs with it. So if you move the economy one next turn, it's a total waste. So actually, they kind of maybe want to do the economy one instead. Best Gods also build out their Gaia project so they can do the same thing with claiming that last Gaia spot. They're the ones actually most capable of doing it. Cliff grabs the spot on the west, just essentially claiming the territory before it's contested by anyone. I don't know who he's worried about. I don't think anybody, but maybe he wants to get the charge from Blake if he places on the white spot there. Oh, he would anyway. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's just nothing else he's particularly looking to do right now. Does he have 3? I can't tell if he's got 2 or 3 QIC. I do want to go back to, oh, well, never mind. I was going to say I want to go back to Cliff grabbing the research, which is a pretty rare, there's certainly a rarer Federation tile. You don't see it taken as often, but he took it so that he could go to the top of the Lost Mine track, not have to worry about contesting anyone else, which is fair. Yep, and there we have Ricky grabbing that spot. It hurts Cliff. And what does that make for our contest here? I don't know if they've... It might mean that Ricky actually ties him for first. I guess maybe even beats him if he gets all the way into the bottom left corner. Just pretty painful as the Terrans to do that. All right, Bryant is doing what we talked about. He's grabbing the advanced technology for trading posts. I like this a lot. He's got 4 to build right now, which is pretty sick. Oh, I think all this time when I haven't known what Bryant has done on his turns, he's been taking the Academy action for a QIC. That's what I've been missing. Charge is good for Cliff. Opens up some of his options here. I completely missed what Blake did. I think they're realizing that they skipped his turn. I think they're realizing that they skipped his turn. He nabbed the other spot. Nasty. Yeah, and then Cliff did a trading post, it looks like. I'm sure they're tired, and it's also just really easy to get the zigzag wrong. Let's see, what did Ricky do? Oh, he took a power action. He took the 2/2 ore. Now the Terrans are the Taclons are good at digging, so I'd say they're stealing this white planet. But what do the best gods care? They've already used that spot. That's an interesting planet. I see. I think that the Taclons are thinking they're going to take that white planet, the orange planet, their Taclon planet. That's going to be their fourth. That's going to be their fourth federation is in that spot to the right. Essentially, all these kind of like forgotten areas that no one really cares about. The best gods don't really care about anymore. It's also going to actually cut the best gods' ability to just tack on extra buildings onto their federation later by digging those spots, the white spot and the brown spot there, which are good spots for the best gods. But they didn't need them for their fed, so they're more concerned about what they're doing in the west. And the Taclons are saying, great, we'll take opportunity, just kind of grab those places up. And looks like Blake is finding an opportunity to use this QIC because he's essentially made his best god action a total dud in the last round because it'll go up on economy. Yeah, I just fed you. The arrow! It's secrets. Here I was thinking that we missed Cliff's turn, but then I'm realizing the zigzag. That's how we go. One of those charges got to go to a coin, right? I mean, 2 charge isn't going to do anything for you. So I see. Okay. He got another charge token so he could get more charge and allow him to take a 3 power action. I didn't see what his actual action was the QIC thing. Got it. I think that's a reasonable use of a worker for someone that's got a fair number of workers. Like, I don't know that he needs all the satellites he has, but he definitely does have need of satellites. But he's got 6 in reserve for next turn because of the Gaia Project action. So he's got some options there. It looks like Cliff grabs some money, which is good for him. He's the only one I think that's really kind of choked on money at this point in time. I mean, I'm sure other players would like to have more of it, but he's the one that really needed that action more than anyone else. I suspect that Cliff's research is going to go up the Gaia track this turn. I don't think Ricky currently, well, he kind of does. Ricky could have a really sneaky steal of the advanced tech on the Gaia Project track by upgrading one of his trading posts and moving up on it right now with something like the one worker, QIC reward, and then he could again use a research station and immediately claim that advanced technology. He's only going to get 10 points instead of 15 points for it, but I think it's a way that he could lock it in. The other thing that he could try to do is try to sneaky make his third fed, and if Cliff's not looking to essentially defend, well, actually Cliff doesn't even have a a federation. So I think there's a very real possibility that Ricky is snatching that advanced technology tile from him this turn. So he is looking to essentially build out, and he's doing exactly that. He's connecting his Fed here to add more spots. He's going to try to get to 21, I think, this turn. I don't know if he can get there, but if he can get the third Fed as soon as possible, that's going to work out kind of ideally for him. What did we do as the Taclons? Bryant's just moving so fast these days, uncharacteristically. He didn't. He might have built a mine, but I don't think he went up any of the research tracks. And I don't see where that mine would have been. No? I don't think he researched anything. I'm going to assume he took a QIC. The glare on that spot, I can't quite tell if it's been taken or if it's covered, so we'll pretend that's what it is. Okay, I'm having a hard time seeing Blake's pieces, I'll be honest. But let's see if we can figure out what he needs to build. So he's got a trading post, a research station. Oh, the trading post is over on the right side of the board. So he's got a research station and mines. So he's got one mine, one research station in the south. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 more strength of just mines. 3 mines. One of them's on a black planet. And then he's also going to get that that Gaia formed planet over there. He's definitely getting 4 Feds. That's a foregone conclusion. So he did research here, or a research lab here on the east side. So now he's just 0 trading posts, doesn't care about trading posts at all. And it looks like he hasn't claimed a technology tile yet. Maybe people are deciding about their charge situations. But back to what I was talking about on the left-west side. So in the south, he could just essentially build a federation with an academy on that research lab, and then upgrading the thing south of it. And then on the west, just throw a few trading posts around. It's very, very easy for him, basically trivial at this point, to get the 4th federation. So he actually, in some ways, wants to do it a little bit inefficiently so he can put more buildings into the federation for that end game scoring. And it looks like he didn't really have the opportunity, or doesn't really have the workers to build the 8th mine in this instance, because he went ahead and grabbed the advanced technology to score 14 points. So he might actually just be saying, you know what? I don't have the power. I don't have the plans to move up the terraforming track. I don't have the workers to just throw at it. So these might actually be all the buildings that I'm building for the rest of the game, with the exception of that little Gaia former guy out there, because I already have what I need to build my federations. So he's content to take that advanced technology. And then what track did he advance on with it? QIC track. Yeah, if he can get up that QIC track, he's the only one on it right now. We could build up the trading posts and then cash in for those too. That'd be reasonable. He's not building any more research labs though. But the trading posts could just turn into academies. That's certainly a viable option. Cliff. I don't quite see what he did. I assume built something pretty normal-ish. Maybe a mine because he just did an upgrade. Oh yeah, mine all the way in the southwest there. He's doing that to contest the green thing. Yeah, to guarantee that he wins the greens. Because as far as location go, that's not a good location for him. I think he spent a couple QIC to sail on down there. Or actually just one, because it's not as far as it seems since he's got that sailing range of 4. Ricky's counting back and forth. I think he's counting for that. But he needs another worker. Okay. Yeah, it's a great time for him to charge. He needs another worker to do the double research station thing that I was suggesting. Can he get another? What's he at? Oh, it's so hard to see with a top-down view. I think I'll have to count it from his things. So he's got 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. Plus this is the 5th round. So he has 20 power of things. But of course he needs to connect them all, which is not a foregone conclusion. So 1 more power of things. Frankly, a little bit tougher for him to pull off than it might seem, and get both research stations. So he might not be able to pull off the steal this turn. He could set it up, but he might have to do it as like his first action next turn, or just steal 10 points and not do the 15. That's viable too. Looks like Bryant built a trading station somewhere. Scored a couple points for it, sure. Best gods. I do not know what the best gods did. Oh, they advanced on the QIC track with the research. All right. Cliff throwing a bunch of charge tokens into this western deal here. He essentially knows what he's going to be doing on the eastern side in terms of building trading posts. It's going to be 2 trading posts, like 3 trading posts, and the Lost Planet is going to be what it looks like over on the northeast side. Doesn't look like there's any space left to Gaia form except for the bottom right corner. Which, frankly, since the other 2 have played out their Gaia formers, actually, I think Cliff is going to claim. Why not, right? It's 3 points for him if he's able to build there. And since we know he's building some trading posts, I think that's certainly going to be the case. So he's hoping to charge that 4 power, make it into something, and then throw a Gaia former in the bottom right corner. I guess the Ivits might be able to contest it at some point, but it's far away for them. Here's the first of the research labs. Who do we charge? It doesn't feel like it is right to charge the Taclons. Some like purple blot on the Taclon's board that like that charge looked. Yeah, something weird about that charge. It's hard to see with the glare and the purple pieces on the purple background. Charge up, hooray. There is one there. Hold on a second. Okay, no error. I'm just a dummy and don't understand what Taclon Planetary Institutes do. That makes total sense. All right, so that's a bunch of QIC that's been being collected. Yeah, that's the sweet one right there. Get some resources again. Looks like we'll get a pile of coins. It's really his only choice, actually. I don't know if that's what he would have chosen if he had a bevy of options, but that is the way it goes. Let's see. That was a quick. Oh yeah. So now it's a race up the Gaia track there. And Cliff has created his second Fed here, so Ricky no longer has the time to play around. And unfortunately for him, if he wants to steal this, is he at 3 workers? I think he's at 3-5. So I think he could steal it right now and scoop those 10 points. But he's not going to get to the 15. No one's going to get to the 15. One of them is going to take it out from under the other. That's a coin just for some charging capabilities. This means nothing. I think it's very likely that he's stealing. Nope, he's not. He's going for just a normal old building. Give me our sweet Gaia forming back. Doesn't really change the state of things, so that's Ricky essentially, I guess, deferring the option of claiming that advanced technology to Cliff. I mean, maybe he's thinking that Cliff won't take it unless he has 3 feds, but 10's a lot of points. And Cliff's got a spot where he can put it, costs him nothing. I mean, so does Ricky. So for the Taclons here, what do they got for 1, 2, 3, 4? They've got 4 research income. I was just a 5 research income. There's certainly an argument to be made for claiming the 2 research action on the track, because I think it's quite possible that they'd be able to use it. And there's a lot of research they want to do. They want to go terraforming. They want to get those couple points on navigation. Taking that 5 dig action is fine, right? Like, it's more efficient than using 2 workers, but just barely, because 2 workers for Taclon 6 power, or for anyone to 6 power. But because he's already good at terraforming, it's not especially powerful for him. And I think he's gonna have more resources than what he knows what to do with at the end. The exception is research. Okay, so he just grabs the 1 ore here, and then does a dig over here. Sure. Oh, we'll dig over on the yellow. I don't think he needs that. Yeah, I don't think he needs the yellow one. He's got a way to federate there anyway. No rush, no reason to. But he needs the ones in the east if he's gonna do a 4th fed. Which I think he wants to do, because he does get some benefit for building upwards, and the end game is going to reward you for building lots of different things for that buildings and federations. So he's rewarded for both going wide and for going up. I think it makes sense for him to do a 4th federation. Not every game of Gaia Project is like that, but this one has the rewards for that to be the case. Best Gods here running pretty low on resources. It looks like they're actually done for the round, which is great because they actually get to grab a point tile. Maybe they're just saying, I could do a little bit with like building some, right? They could sacrifice some worker for, or some ores for some research points, but they make 4 research. They're at 1, so that puts them at 5. If they get that 9 there, that's 14. So they need 2 more research. So they need to build 2 of those and sacrifice 2 ore for it. So they're probably really happy with their production, and then they'll just maybe figure out if there's a way for them to get the 2 other research next turn. So they're perfectly content to go first, and going first on the last turn is nice too. You can cash in QICs if you have them. He's got only the 1, I think. I don't think he's going to have enough to take the 3 or anything, but he might then be able to like do research for 2 more QICs and grab the 3 QIC action depending on what other people have for QICs at that point in time. Cliff snatched the 10-pointer. Looks like there's some discussion about it. But I think it's the right call. It can't just sit there forever. Even if you think you're losing, there's just like the game of chicken is too real. Someone's got to pull the trigger at some point. When someone goes to 15 points, you know they're going to take it before you. Like, why would you wait, right? You're going to take it then. So it's a caterpillar game, meaning you got to roll it all the way back to who's first, and it's just whoever blinks first. That's the situation that Ricky put himself into by charging up that track. And so I'm really surprised that he didn't kind of follow through with the rest of the play there. But maybe he wasn't able to. I don't know. He looks a little dejected to me, so I'll interpret it my way. And then Cliff chose to go up economy. Sure, it's a little bit of points. Then if he has research, he can dump extra research into the economy track for points at the end of the game. Maybe Ricky was thinking that that Cliff would want to go to the top of the purple track and get the points there because it's more points for him. But it's still not as many points as the advanced technology as I think. It's like basically the same. Plus Cliff needs the research, which he doesn't have currently. So he's probably going to be unable to claim it. Ricky's going to claim the top of that track most likely. And he should. It's good points for him, right? But yeah, they ended up butting heads there. It's going to cost each of them about 5 points. I don't know what else Ricky could have or should have done. Well, I think the QIC track instead of but then if Cliff and Ricky end up in 3rd and 4th, then you see why, right? But if they end up in 1st and 2nd, then it's absolutely the right call. So it's a little tough to say at this point in time, like whether it makes sense. Like you don't want someone to just be hey, look at that handsome guy right there. That's me being disappointed that I got 2nd. There I am, looking sad. I'm smiling even when I look sad. This is Bryant telling me that Cliff thinks he's going to win the game. So that's my insight into the board state. And like I said, we started after and started after and ended before these gentlemen. Granted, Terraforming Mars is a shorter game. This is a behemoth what they have tackled here. This timing of this does explain to me why Ricky was not super engaged with me. I assumed it was a late at night thing, but I know him as well. I think it's just because things have broken kind of poorly for him here. And I know that feeling. You make some choices thinking like I got to play from behind and I'm trying to catch up, and you keep doing it and then it kind of compounds on itself and it's like you're more dead, more dead, and more dead. It's tough. Is that an Ivets pass? No, Ivets are still in it. The Taclon's passed. Oh, I missed the Taclon's passing. Fascinating. I was too busy looking at my handsome self. They must have done it for the point tile. Yeah, it was their last chance to get a points tile. And they've got resources left to build. But I guess there's nothing that they are rushing to build. Like they could get, convert more workers into coins, but because they have the brainstone and economy, they just have so many different ways of scoring resources. Yeah, I dig it. I like the early pass for the points. That I think the big point tile that he grabbed is 12 points. I mean, that's big game. I think that's a really wise decision. No one's probably going to get that advanced tech tile on terraforming anymore because it's just much sadder now. Points wise, best gods are actually at, usually I don't really care that much about points, but the fact that they're 20 points ahead the next closest person at this stage in the game actually does start to really matter. And not only that, but Blake is the one who's going to cash in on the best advanced tech tile that's still remaining. And he's got a pass tile that gives him points, maybe not as many points as the big one that we just talked about, but I think it's research stations that he took. So that's 9, and it's 9 that he's not going to build over. He's already got everything on that side of the track built up. So he's going to get 4 feds, so 2 more feds. He's going to have he's going to be a very serious contestant on the number of things in the federations. Here, let me just cover his board for a moment. These number of things in federations. He's going to be very serious, or the third place on greens at the very least, with no contest on that. And he has 2 academies that he's building up to, so that's going to be another 10 points for him. Him actually probably isn't even going to build both. I don't think he has the research or the points quite to build both. I mean, he'd love to build both because one of them could be the advanced tech tile, and the other one could be the 7 points on the terraforming track. So it's just got a high ceiling. No one's claimed that 7 points on the terraforming track won yet, so that's going to be points that everybody's going to be claiming. There's certainly going to be a rusher contest for the QIC actions. But no one's sitting on a pile of QICs right now except for the Ivets, so I think that advantage goes to Ricky. And Terrans are doing well for points. They've got 1 Fed incoming, 1 little Gaia planet incoming. They don't have quite as high an upside. Ricky is also going to get the top of the purple track. I've counted Ricky down and out, but there's actually like a couple things that are in the Ivets corner right now in terms of those things. Bryant is behind on points, and he needs to find ways to make them. He's got also 2 more feds incoming, which is great. And every time he builds a trading post, it's 3 points for him, which is great. And he's got 12 points on end of round scoring, which is great. Okay, so everybody's got a game plan here. I am liking the best gods lead and the fact that like it's very, very clear and easy to see where they're getting their points from. I think Tacklons have a lot of building, a lot of end around points every time they build up, points every time they build out. They're going to contest on that objective. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Cliff's got 5 buildings left on his board. Bryant has 5 buildings left on his board. Ricky's got 6, 7, 8, 9 buildings left on his board. Blake's got 6 buildings left on his board. So almost certainly Ricky's in last place for a number of things in federations, even though with the Ivets, they're almost always in federation. His economy is just weaker than everyone else's, which is why he's got less stuff in play than everyone else does. And that's been the case essentially since the beginning. Yeah, and he was ahead for a while. I mean, I did just say that he has got some points coming from, but that's that. He's got the pass tile too. Cliff not getting a pass tile hurts him here. I think the Terrans might be leveling out as well. In terms of research, there's really no one that's done anything super impressive. I guess actually best gods are ahead on research points too. Because they're just the highest on multiple tracks there, and they can go to the 9 there. No one's contesting them on the research track. So it's easy stuff there. They might even get to cap out 2 of the tracks, the QIC track and the research track. I was skeptical about Best Gods, but I'm getting told. I'm getting schooled. And they didn't get that much. I mean, they didn't get a crazy amount of charge or anything. They just executed their game plan, like, directly. I'm really impressed. My favorite thing about the 40% speed is watching people count their, it's like an old-timey silent film, like, doot, 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 doot. 7 ore, please. And here we see some Terran collection of coins because they suck at coins. Maybe he already grabbed it, looks like. Maybe he didn't grab coins. Maybe he thought he was going to get the coins power because other people are flush with coins. And look at how many freaking coins the Best Gods have right now. Everybody's got, like, I mean, if it's our poor, Terrans are a little bit poor too. Yeah, it's looking like a black and brown game. I think if it weren't for the Best Gods point advantage right now, I would have no idea who to give it to, except for it's clear that I think the Ivets are probably going to come in last. But maybe the Terrans are going to come. I don't know. They're fighting each other. They're killing each other. Not killing. They've hurt each other for maybe 10 points or so each. Maybe a little bit more than that for the blocking side of it. Oh, and are we starting? Okay, so we're going to pause so I can take a quick break right after this. Here we go, and let's get our 9. He's not dilly-dallying about with that. Okay. Final push. Let's go. Okay. About Blake's action, I don't know that he needed to do that first, but I guess actually he does because he needs to research to get the QICs. So that's why he's doing it right now because he has no contest on those spots, but he does need the research points because he only had essentially the 1 research action to get the 2 extra QICs. So it's funny, usually QICs are kind of like first claim this round, but people are sort of broke on the green guys right now. Bryant's like, how do I make points out of all of these things? How does he make points out of all these things? We know he's got the... we've already listed what he does get points on. I don't know if he's worried about the potential of anyone, like, attacking his brown... Like, if someone takes that brown spot, he needs 2 spots. He needs the brown spot and the white spot. So, like, it might be worth it for him to dig the white spot right now. Oh, he can't. He's got no employees. All right, so he goes to second QIC. Is it a second QIC? That's good because then he can take the 2 QIC action before anyone else essentially can snab it. I think that Ricky probably takes a 3 QIC action right now. He's checking to see if he can, but I think he's got to take the 3 QIC action before Cliff gets into a situation where he can grab the Gaia Project 1. He wants to grab the Gaia Project 1. I guess Ricky doesn't have to be concerned just yet. Well, if Bryant gets charged, he actually does get 3 QICs, so he should be worried if he's planning on doing it. Although, he probably needs the friggin' QICs for his ridiculous Expando network. So why choose to expand now? Rather than doing something like the Gaia Project and then moving up on the Gaia track. I don't think he's worried that anyone's going to take that red spot. It is a power charge if, he gets in there before Blake. He doesn't have to worry about Cliff messing with him, but I don't think that helps Cliff at all to build in that spot. Yeah, I'm probably missing something. Cliff is getting a research. Fascinating. 7 points. 7 points and 2 guys back. Just managing his resources right now. He doesn't have anything that he can really rush, essentially. What he wants is some more power charge so he can get some more money. Here we go, going up the QICs. Now we're stepping on everybody's toes here. Bryant has to decide. Now's the time. Score some points. Be done with it. Don't worry about the fact, because like Ricky and then followed by Blake could grab the 2 QIC actions, the 3er and the 2er. So just grab those points and get out. He needs those. That makes a lot of sense. I like that play a lot. Oh, Bryant's other QIC was from his power conversion. That makes a lot of sense. Now's the moment of truth, I think, with Ricky and the 3 QICs. So what does he need for his network? If he connects everything on board, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wait, all that movement threw me off. 6, 12, 14, 16, 17. Plus 6 for the turn puts him at 23. I guess he's trying to see if he can get to 28, which feels a lot easier if he takes the level 4 thing. Feels very easy if he takes the level 4 thing. Yeah, it looks like he's trying to go for 4 feds as well. What did Ricky end up doing? I think Ricky took 2 research because he wants 8 research for some reason. Oh, I see why he wants 8 research. Yeah, he just has too many things he wants to do right now. It's like running out of time. Blake very, very happily got the 3 QIC action. That's quite a gift for him. An extra 7 points there. Cliff did research to move up economy because he's trying to get those points, so he's trying to get that power so he can take the aforementioned 7 coins action, I think. I mean, Ricky's got the 8 research, so I think that's 1 move on Nav and 1 move on Gaia. I think that's his plan there. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yeah, I guess he just needs the QICs, so he gave up on the points. But, you think about it, the QICs he gets for making a 4th Federation, which he has to put work into doing, they could have just been used to rescore a Federation. And then one of his opponents, Blake specifically, would not have gotten those Federation points. So I think it's a mistake. You either need to go for both or I think just the QIC action. I don't think it makes sense to not take it. Yeah, I think that's an oversight. So I expect this to be the 7 coins action. Yeah, all right. I don't think I quite caught what Bryant did. He must have built a trading post because he's got a weird trading post sandwich situation right now. I think he did out on his orange spot there. That's why I got confused with the turn order card because they were figuring out who's charging or whatever. And Blake grabbed himself some workers because he'd gotten some power charge. Seems good for him. Why not? Just get stuff. Bryant does need to figure out how he's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 the moves that he needs. Because he has he could use just a gazillion science, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 viable moves, 2 of which really matter on science. One of them for sure is doing a research lab, taking the 7 points, going up the brown track. I wouldn't be surprised to see that be his action right now. Although maybe he's trying to set it up so that he can grab the 2 planets he needs to grab before other people mess with it. For a white planet, white is not adjacent to brown. It's 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 workers for the white planet, 1 worker for the brown planet. So we're at 4 workers. He needs this trading post. That's 6 workers. He needs another trading post in the south. That's 8 workers. Then he's out of trading posts. So 3 more workers for the research lab is 11. Then 2 more workers for the trading post again is 13. And we're looking at that plus, let's say, I don't know, it's less than double. So let's just say he needs like 13 workers and like 19 money. So he's short on the money side of it, but I think he is good on the worker side of it. And the money side of it, he can probably solve with brainstone stuff. So I think he can do all 4 feds. But that's only 1 research lab move, which is the 7-pointer that I mentioned. Then he's got a 4 research, which he'll use to go up the terraforming track. Get those 2 workers there. And that might be the end of it. I guess actually in some ways it might be beneficial for him to take the 7 power 3 knowledge action, because it looks like he's at 5 knowledge, because going up on navigation there gives him a QIC, 3 power charge, and 3 points, which is pretty good. Cliff's building his academy, get some 5-pointers that way, hooray. And we'll just get this couple of research here. Oh, I guess that's another way that Bryant can actually get a fair amount of research. I didn't think about that research tile. But he needs 2 research tiles. I mean, he could build 2 labs, and I think that means he would be giving up on the 4th fed. Which is fine. Here we got some upgrades, some charging. Blake's just sort of setting up for his posts. Interesting that he's doing the trading. Of course, he's going to do the trading posts, build out the trading posts, and then from there, he's going to build the last trading post will upgrade into a academy so that he can score the advanced technology tile. He does have to make a federation before he does that, though, because he's got 2 tiles flipped already. Because no one's contesting him on QICs, he could just dilly-dally up there all day long. That's so good for him. Yeah, being uncontested on 2 research tracks turns out is very, very good. So what did we grab here? Is that just straight to 12 points? Straight to 12 points. I like that. I think that if he had coins, he'd grab coins. But he doesn't really need the QIC unless he could get to like 4 QICs, which I don't think he can. The research is an interesting question. But I don't think it's an interesting question, but it's not worth 6 points of difference. So I like the 12-point grab here. He doesn't need the extra diskies or anything either. It's a good choice. The IVIT counting of how big this is always very funny. Which ones do I actually need to add? He's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stations, so he can get a 6th station, which will close out. So if he wants to connect everything, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces that he needs to connect everything. One is a space station. 3 of them are those QICs that are sitting there. So I do think he's going to get to 4 federations, which is good. But I still think that just grabbing a 3 QIC action makes more sense. Someone I'm sure can convince me why I'm wrong about that, but right now, after many hours of watching people play this game, trying to keep up with them, 40% increased speed, that's where I'm at. Mate. And here Cliff is just doing the thing that he's doing. I think he's hoping that Ricky's maybe not paying attention and won't go on top of that purple track there. All right, here we go. Federating. Oh, interesting. I thought for sure that federation would wind up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would wind up being just the 2 spaces with the academy. Maybe I misjudged. Maybe he doesn't have the resources to build out the other fed. Or is he just planning on walking that one up? Building, I guess he could just build that one into a fed using and go straight into the academy from there. Oh, no, it's because I'm an idiot and I think that research stations can be built in academies because that's how every other race works. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. I mean, it's all basically the same because he's just got comfortable territory all one spot bumps away from each other. So poor little Brainstone sitting in the 2 spot. It's always a bad space for it to be. No friends to kick it over. Yeah, if they don't charge Bryant, Stone's a little bit stranded right now. See, I feel like if I'm in Ricky's spot, what he's supposed to be doing right now is slam dunk, research, purple track. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at least 9 points for him or 8 points for him or something. I mean, I don't think anything else is as close. You debating the 2 workers for going up the brown track? I mean, he's got all these feds that don't have their, flip use yet. All right, he's counting it. So at the very least, he's considering it. He's not missing it. If he chooses not to do it, then he's chosen not to do it. But he must be counting how many resources he needs left to finish building out for another federation. But even still, I think a federation is just barely the same. Oh, because it's 12 points for a fed if he gets it fast enough. Still. Oh, okay. Sure. He can do this. Grab the technology that gives one research per unique planet dug. And go up the purple track. Although, he doesn't need that. Okay. So that advanced technology gives him 2 points. And then he'll do another research for another point. I mean, I see that another research lab's going to come out. So it's going to be like 2, 4, 6. You're going to have to show me, Ricky, what this winds up being, because I'm a little perplexed right now. I sort of feel like just researching to go up that track, getting the points, and then using your academy to pick up the 7-point tile seems better. We'll find out. Running tally of how many points Ricky got off that advanced tech right now is 2. So we'll see if I am wrong. I see 6 points that he's going to get off of it. And he has to work for those 6 points. Cliff goes ahead and takes the top of the economy track for the resources. That's a nice little nab from Bryant. Bryant, I don't think, was going to take it because he needs that unflipped federation to get to the top of the brown track, which I think is probably more worth it for him. Blake's just like building my trading post, building up. That's what he's going to be doing. We're at this stage now. Bryant's at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 workers. Yeah, it's a close call. I do like getting coins here. I think he does the research station because no matter what, he wants the research station. He wants those 7 points. He might need this trading post back, so he can kind of see what other people are doing. He's going to have plenty of workers because he gets 2 workers as he moves up this track right now. If he moves up the track again, it's another 2 workers. So he's got workers for days. That's no problem. Coins are his only problem right now. Okay, and you grab that. So he's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're counting out how many different things he has. Let's be generous and say he has 7, putting him to 12. We were far too generous. He's got like 4, putting him to 9. Oh, maybe he took the 7-pointer already. No. That advanced tech is covering the resources. Is that research really worth it? Oh, we can go up any track now with the research. I see. So it's if I'm counting correctly, he's essentially traded the 7 points for enough research to go up the nav track there, which gives him the QIC 3 points and 3 charge. So 3 charge and a QIC at the expense of 4 points, if I've done my math correctly. I don't know if that's a great trade at this point in the game, but it's certainly a close one. And I'm sure he's a little bit more in tune with what he needs for resources for the rest of the round. Was that a Fed from Ricky? I missed whatever it was that he was doing. Cliff has very little left to do this game. Like, he's going to build out his Gaia Project guy there. And then he's got a bunch of resources that aren't going to do a whole lot. Like, he might pass with a pile of resources because trading posts don't do diddly for him. The research lab, I don't think does anything. He's already scored the points and the one-offs that he can score. Cliff might just be done with a bunch of resources. Blake's building up. Oh, up. So I'm going to assume that he's taking the 7-pointer here, but I've been wrong so many times already about what people evaluate that as. Hey, all right, Blake and I are speaking the same language. That makes me feel good. That research is a little awkward. The second research there, it didn't do a whole lot for him. That's the best God way, though. It's not even that late. I'm just tired imagining what time it was that they were playing this game at. I've been sick, so I haven't been sleeping all that well either. Or conversely, you could argue that I've been sleeping very well. Depends on your perspective on these things. Why did that... Oh. Because you don't have 3 navigation. I see, okay. Curious. Yeah, it feels like that, realizing that it saves him some QICs because I didn't realize the nav 3 thing. It feels like that 7 power action might have been a thing to consider. I mean, maybe that's why his brainstone is just sitting there. All right, so upgrading here, I guess, allows Cliff to put another building on the board, another mine on the board that connects. If he builds on that white planet on the left, lets him connect. So he's paying a couple points to expand his network, which I don't know if they've kept this updated, but maybe he's just counting that others are gonna tie him up out there or something. Could be that. I do think it's funny that a lot of these games of Gaia, like, they're going to have a long last round. People got to make sure they're doing the right thing. But for some players, the amount of points you score very, very quickly diminishing returns here. Like, this game, it feels like in a lot of ways, often round 5 is like where a lot of the biggest stuff happens. And then round 6 is this kind of explosion race to the end of things that you need to grab, your QICs, your final advanced tech actions, and that's all she wrote. Didn't totally see what Blake did. Some fiddling. Yeah. Maybe it was a power charge action or something. No, because he just left. So it got to be the end of his turn. All polite players leave when it's the end of their turn. It's just to say that I leave all the time when I'm playing. Because of precious life-giving water. See, I'd be good at Dune Imperium because I love water so much. Wow. Oh, I missed that yellow planet up north for Bryant. That must have been a build that I totally missed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he needed the extra tokens, so he took a token action. That's a bad feeling as Taklons, but he's definitely. I somehow missed that he built that one. I'm getting tired, zoning out myself. I find this hard in overhead. Certainly in the angled dimension, I find easier. And then Ricky took a real fast turn. Just building out. I don't think we have big plays between now and the end of the game, to be honest. I think Cliff's game's pretty much over. Blake's got the most exciting because he's gonna federate. Does he have the resources? Oh, he doesn't have the resources. I have these like big dreams for what he's gonna do, and he can't afford it. Can't afford it, can he? Wow, I totally miscounted. I mean, he's really far off of being able to afford it. Weak commentary, Nick. Weak commentary. Because he's still got to build the Gaia Project. Yeah, I guess he's just on 3. And maybe isn't going to get that advanced tech. Looks like he moved up nav to get some of those resources at some point. Might have been what he did last turn. Yeah, I think he doesn't have enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He needs. He needs 7 workers. Feels like. Yeah, I don't think he can do that. Boop, boop, boop. Is this a research station? Yeah. Sure is. Okay, so here comes a 7-pointer. But if he knew he was going to get the 7-pointer and have 8 research tokens, why spend the QIC rather than going up to nav 3? I guess QIC is just 1 worker and he's fine on workers, so okay. And not dither around in case he doesn't get the charge or something. Their point scoring has essentially kept everyone in exactly the same pace throughout this round. You usually expect to see people scoring lurches, but that's just not the case here. Got it. Got it. So those are your 4 workers. 5 workers, 6 workers. So that gets you enough workers. Oh, and then he'll go up to terraforming for the last 2 workers. Okay, so he'll federate. He'll federate, but he won't get the advanced technology. That's fair enough. upgrade here. These are for 7 points, I assume. Oh, no. The upgradey thing, so he can do his 4th Fed. Cliff built that white planet. I didn't realize that he hadn't built his Gaia former before, so that makes sense. It's not a very exciting use of the final actions, but just basically trading some points in conversion for trying to defend the scoring there. I think that makes sense. Well, okay, I guess I'll wait. Okay, so we're here grabbing the, yep, those are the 2 workers we just talked about, grabbing the research right there. And it looks like we paid for it with the 4 QICs. Oh, right, because I was saying, yeah, he'd grab that and move up, but it's not quite enough. I think I just really want him to federate, so I keep making up scenarios where he's going to. All right, and then Bryant on that final push there. Ricky's going to get himself his 4th Fed now that he set up for that. Bryant in there did grab his somewhere in there. They're moving at a good pace right now. Did grab his 4th Federation. Looks like he grabbed another 12-pointer, which makes a lot of sense. Which is why he is up there now with the best god score. And Cliff is done. That's it. He's toast. Looks like Cliff might upset my claim that Ricky was last seat, maybe. What did the best gods do? Grabbed a QIC. I think Bryant does very much else that he needs to do at this point in time. It's a pass for the Ivets, score some points there. I think there's not a lot left. I mean, Blake. That mine doesn't do anything. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's 6. Show me the way, Blake. How do you get the 7? I do like that he found another way of doing it by going up terraforming and just taking that white planet in the corner there. And he's got to be building it because he knows he can get there. That's just adding another brown guy to the... I'm going to move to here and cover Cliff's score in the bottom part of Blake's thing there because the track is pretty relevant right now. Yep, that build for Bryant that connected to his network there. What am I missing, man? One, 2, 3, 4, 5. guess I just can't see what buildings they are. Research. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can't see what buildings they are. That's throwing me off because it feels like it's too few for Federation, but I mean, there's no way that 4 players looking at this table got it wrong. It's a lot more likely that me being unable to see his pieces well got it wrong. Because even without the Gaia thing, he had it. Ties him up with Cliff on number of things for second place. A little awkward for both of them. One more ties him up with Bryant, which is obviously where they'd really want to be. Yeah, that's 3 points, so a bit extra. The thing is that if I haven't been paying attention to the charge situation, but if he's been paying victory points for charge, you know, the number of resources that you spend in, it's almost 2 victory points of resources to get 3 victory points. So just upgrading for upgrading's sake is fine if you didn't pay any resources for getting there. But if you're paying victory points for getting there, he's probably only making 1 point at a time for those upgrades or something like that, you know, based on what's being passed around and everything. Is that pass for 9? Here's a pass for 12. I think it's pretty clear that Blake and Bryant are first and second. And Cliff and Ricky are third and fourth. It's just a question of what that breakdown is. 9 and 6 means, so Blake's going to get 15 and Bryant's going to get 18. Bryant's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps on science. Best gods have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps on science. I think the science difference might give it to best gods. Well, I know the best gods end up winning, so I'll spoil that for you now. But that's got to be the gap because the end game scoring over there is not too much. So I think it's that tiny bit on the science that makes the difference. That was science, I think. Woof. Yeah, this is cool watching the best gods like come out and all this like science. It does feel like the best games I've seen of best gods, someone's gone up science at least in the middle of the game because it lets them use their advantage and gives them some flexibility along the way. Is that? There we go. Congratulations, Blake. 10-point win. 10 or so point win. Yeah, man. So that's, man, I'm not good enough at this track to know where the 100 is. I assume 100 once the round. So 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So, I mean, that's a really pretty respectable score. It's a low score for Ivets and it's a low-ish score for Terrans, I think. They definitely ended up cannibalizing each other. Again, I said at minimum 10 points they cannibalized each other. But there just, I think, wasn't really space for them. You know, they ended up bumping heads on that track. And, man, I think if Ivets end up going on that green track like I was talking about, that's bad for best gods and probably ends up entertainingly in a Taclon victory. I guess if Ivets had gone up terraforming, then it sort of guarantees a best god victory. So they're kind of almost spoiler, I guess, with whatever second track they chose to go up in the middle of the game there. I think because the navigation means they're just not setting tempo. I don't know. I shouldn't harp on it if it's too much, but it was definitely a rough rough game for them. Terrans played the straight up kind of Terrans thing, but that's the problem with Terrans, or at least in my experience, and I'm a bad Terrans player, is just that when other people start to step on your toes, you can't do anything about it. You are just at the whim of people stepping on your toes. There's not a good pivot plan because the Terrans are pretty focused, which I think is, I think they're good for, those are not the correct seats. And then Taclons, yeah, man, it seemed like they really had it in hand. But I guess the point deficit is real. They had the economy going into the round, but yeah, the point deficit is very real. And the only thing they had that changed that for them was the one advanced technology, 3 points for the upgrades. And they scored good points off of that, but that was it. I do really wonder what happens if someone ends up going for terraforming this game. No one really went there. Maybe there just wasn't the space for it. Like there wasn't the cluster of planets that there needed to be to make that work. But if you're someone who lost this game, that's the question I'm asking myself, is like, that's where you're headed. All right, everyone, that brings us to the end of this whopping 5. Is it 5? Let's see actually if it says in the video. Well, it ended, so that doesn't even want to tell me anymore. 5.5 hour game. I guess as the video is, video is over. 5.5 hours they played from beginning to end. Absolutely wild ride. That's a rough and long journey. I'm sure that I made some comments in here that didn't totally make sense. So if you're an expert Gaia player, you want to let me know, pitch in. Yeah, let me know. And thanks for watching. If you're here and you're as crazy as I am, went all the way through this with me, kudos to you. But thanks for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful day. See you around. Bye.